wow, that's completely different and much longer. I love it.
No, it wasn't that long. I didn't change it from last week's. You just weren't here at the beginning of last week's episode.
What was I doing?
You were getting a drink.
Oh, yeah. I was getting a drink.
Yeah. Just like professionals, you started the episode not even on camera.
Speaking of, I poured my last out of this bottle. I'm very upset.
I
have to go alcohol buying again.
You can't run off now.
No,
you barely made it now. You barely made it to the episode.
I'm no good for next week, which should be a really good episode. But I'm good for now.
Welcome to the 42, and this week it's just me and Mike. Get back to the basics, chatting about fun stuff. We're gonna be talking mostly board games, but also some other geek stuff. What's been going on with you, Mike?
It's been pretty busy. Had another meeting on that game design over the weekend, which went really well. Played some games in person again, and played a lot of games on digital over the weekend, which is part of one of our segments coming up about the digital, staying power.
That should still be in there. I accidentally erased it right before the episve started. So.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But it's still in there.
Perfect.
I've also played. Actually, I've only played virtual this week. It's like so. Only 2 games for me. But we'll save that for later on.
Especially if you
just a reminder: please like and subscribe. We'll only bring that up one more time near the end, of course.
Maybe if Chris remembers.
Maybe I might. You know what? Just bring it up again. There we go. I lied.
Perfect.
All right. So one of the things that we usually do whenever it's just you and me is we like to do our best guesses. Mm-hmm. You said you had a really good one. Does that mean that I should go with my kind of lame one and you finish off with your big one?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So I'll start off with my...
Unless you want to follow mine. That's up to you.
No, I don't want to do that. No. So if you haven't seen past episodes, what this is basically I propose a question and then give some options, and then I try to guess which one Mike will pick, and then he'll do the same for me. And we don't know what these are ahead of time. So my question is, I'm going to share my screen because I got visuals. I actually don't have visuals. This is a very lame visual to share. But it's the question, and there's enough options here that I wanted to give you a list to look at. So this is which X-Men would you want to be most? So first of all, you're going to be limited by 10 choices, and I'll tell you what those are.
Okay.
Second of all, this is not just their powers, but you have to go through their life. You have to experience the mutant hate, all that kind of stuff that goes along with it. If they're blue, you have to be blue. Now, the only thing I will say is if they're female, you can be male if you wish. You could be the male version of that.
All right.
So first question, of course, first one we all think of, Wolverine. Wolverine's a pretty good power, right? Live very long time, regeneration. Mm-hmm. You would even have the adamantium skeleton and claws. That's really nice. Extra sense and a little bit of fang. Of course, you would also have the tortured past,
sure.
the quick to anger attitude, all that loneliness that he has.
And a brother just hunts me down and hates me.
Yeah, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Storm, there's a lot of issues, especially with young Storm, right?
Yeah.
And she has some personal issues, but this day and age, just having white hair isn't that different.
Yeah.
Her eyes only turn white when she uses her powers, right? Well, it depends on who's drawing what, I think. But other than that, controlling weather is pretty cool. And you can kind of fly.
You could.
Iceman, I know you love hockey. I don't know if that would come in helpful or not, but you could play anytime you want.
I don't know how you know I like hockey. That's just weird.
Yeah. Jean Grey, telekinesis, telepathy. You might go nuts and kill all your friends. but you'd be really powerful.
Hmm.
Beast, the blue version, a fuzzy blue version. So you got to be fuzzy and blue.
Okay.
And, big and muscular and stuff. But, he has, I'd even give you the scientific prowess, right?
So Kelsey Grammer Beast.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. I get it.
You got a high guys already.
Hey.
Nightcrawler. Again, we've covered powers before. Teleportation's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The problem is that he has that limited teleportation, which is he has to see where he's going.
Right.
He can't just pop over to Paris kind of thing.
But
And
talk about if you saw Paris on the TV, you'd be able to go.
Maybe. I guess so.
Right? If I saw a picture of the Eiffel Tower, I can picture the Eiffel Tower. And
I think like he's seen like footage through security cameras and can do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
I don't know. Of course, you still got to be blue. Strange markings. You got to have the tail. I actually think a tail would be useful. But
yeah, it's in that situation. Yeah.
Was it 2 toes? Almost like grippy toes. 3 toes.
Yeah, 3 toes.
Psylocke. Not only do you get the cool glowy blade that comes out of your hand, but I know she can do like illusions, telepathy, talk to you in your mind from long distances. A lot of cool stuff. Bit of a tortured past. Gambit. He's got some cool stuff, but you got to have stuff to throw, basically. Throwing cards and all.
Trench coat, though, man.
And you got to sound like you're from Louisiana.
Sure.
Colossus, got to be Russian. But, looking big and tough and being able to turn metal.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
In the Professor, right? Is number 10?
Katya. Nope. Number 10 is Shadowcat.
So I can walk through walls?
Can walk through walls. And really, there's not much of all of them have a little bit of trouble, histories or whatever and stuff. But walking through walls, you look like a normal human being. And, if I was being nice, I could even throw in Lockheed, which would be a nice little dragon flying around with you.
Ooh.
So
that sweetens the pot there.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'll say this. I didn't think about Lockheed until after I made my guess. So maybe I should leave Lockheed off. And then, because the one that I guessed for you, or actually, if I hit next, you'll see what my guess is because I'll have it highlighted. Do you want to say what it was, and then I'll tell you what I guessed?
I don't think it would make me pick Shadowcat.
Really?
Yeah, okay. It's pretty sweet, and definitely sweetens the pot. But I don't think that would be like that. Well, in that case.
All right. Well, so which of those would you pick, and then I'll show you if I guess correctly.
So my number 2 would be Wolverine.
Even though you're being hunted down, even though you've gone through a lot of pain, remember your past, all that stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Number 2 would be Wolverine. And the only reason I don't think it would be my number 1 is I would hate to outlive everyone that I meet. Everyone I become friends with, I have to watch them die. That just sucks. True. Although having the claws, being able to stick up the middle claw, like the sarcasm, like it all fits, right? The scruffy beard, like I get it. But Katya has it right. I would pick Nightcrawler.
Really?
Yep, my number 1 would be Nightcrawler.
Man, she beat me. That would be her pick. Well, that'd be my pick too. Obviously because of the powers, and I don't care if people think I'm blue. I'd just get out of there, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And at today's age, I really think, like maybe the 80s, that would have been a huge drawback. But in today's time, I think people are a little more accepting. I don't know. Unfortunately, I guess Psylocke, her abilities are just like really good. Like better than Jean Grey because she can kick butt with them too. So I mean, she doesn't have telekinesis, but at least I don't think she does.
I don't think so either. I think I would pick Psylocke over Jean Grey, just because Jean Grey could just become a loose cannon at any point.
Right. You also don't have the the Phoenix thing going on, right?
Right.
So, all right. Well, I got that one wrong, but you know.
Yeah, Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Be able to go somewhere like if I just want to go see the Coliseum, like, but we talked about that movie Jumper with Hayden Christensen. That ability is just, but I mean, as long as I guess you'd have to practice, right? Like you don't want to just teleport yourself in a prison cell and you can't get out or whatever. Which I guess you could just pop right back out, so that doesn't make sense.
Well, what if someone captures you and then puts you into a jail cell in which you can't see out of? Like they only communicate to you through a screen, and your food is given to you through a slot. You can't see where you're going.
Yeah.
Now your powers are null and void, right?
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm quick enough where I can teleport out before I get captured.
I mean that might hurt all of them, right? Wolverine, that would suck. You just live longer in the box.
Yeah.
Storm, I don't know. Maybe you could feel kind of like you'd have to put her underground or something, right?
Well, you'd probably be able to control the earthquakes, right? So split the earth and leave.
Earthquakes aren't weather, though, are they? She can't do earthquakes, can she? I don't think so.
Oh, maybe not.
Iceman, I assume they would adjust the prison to withstand your cold temperatures.
Yeah.
Jean Grey can't do anything. Beast would just hit the walls.
Well, Jean Grey, you could go atomic, right, and just blow up the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're Dark Phoenix and all that. Gambit would be useless. Colossus, again, I would think they'd strengthen it enough to stop you. Shadowcat could go right through. I guess you could argue they do something to the walls to stop you from doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, is there anything that she can't go through? Like, would she be able to go through? Could she go through Wolverine? Like, she can go through adamantium?
Oh, I don't know. That's interesting. All
the nerds in the comments should figure that out.
Yeah. I have Excalibur #1, but other than that, I never really read much of Kitty Pryde. Other than, what's in the movies, which...
Right.
So anyway, all right, well, I failed at that. Obviously, I didn't put Cyclops in there. Useless, man.
Yeah, not a fan. Right?
Dude might as well have a gun. He's the same guy. And I didn't put Rogue in there because obviously that's a huge drawback, not being able to touch anybody, right?
Right. I mean, unless you have those nice white gloves.
I mean, you can have those anyway. But
Sure. That was a good one.
All right.
So
well, maybe I can thwart you. I won't try to thwart you, of course, but...
Well, we'll see. I need to share my screen.
Yes, I can allow that.
But you can't look at it right away because I need to make sure that I'm presenting the screen, which I guess...
You know what? I should have had this up here.
I might not be able to...
Like and subscribe, people.
Chrome tab. This thing.
All right, so I'm not looking. It just shows me a tiny thumb anyway, so don't look at this.
You can do it. You can do it.
All right. Who's worse? Oh, good.
Yeah, so we're going to play a game of Who's Worse. There are 6 different pairs that I'm going to present to you. In each pair, based on whatever criteria you want to come up with of that pair, you pick which one is worse.
Okay, so it's sort of a bracket thing, right?
Yes. There's just no bracket. It's just going to be because that could take. I mean, we could be here for a minute. There's just 6 of them. You're going to guess based on whatever you want to throw at it and talk about it and whatever. I've already picked my answers, and I'm shooting for a score of 5 of 6. I figure one of them I'll fuck up. I'll probably
no. 6 of 6. Got to get it all right.
I would love to, but 5 of 6 I'll be happy.
All right.
So
I'm going to be given 6 things. I got to pick which one's worst.
Correct.
All right.
Good?
One? Yeah.
All right. So who's worse round 1? Do I have to go over here to do it? Yes, I do.
Oh. I mean, this isn't too big of a. This one's not too hard, right? I mean, I got to go with Joffrey. Joffrey's worse.
It could be difficult. It could not be. Maybe this is just a little softball lob for you.
I mean, it's a little bit softball. I mean, Draco, yeah, you want to punch him and stuff. Like you were happy when he got punched by Hermione, but had he been like slaughtered, you would have been like, that might be a bit too much, right? However, when Joffrey dies, you're like, that's good. He deserved that.
Yep. I mean the whole damn show, right? You just want him to fall off a cliff
and there's several moments where they're like, maybe he'll be good. No, he's worse. Like he always fails the test and shows himself to be worse. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely Joffrey.
All right. Joffrey is my number one answer.
See, 6 of 6 so far. Well, one of one, yeah.
All right. Who's worse round 2? This does not mean that it's the Joker from the animated series. This does not mean it's the Kingpin from the Spider-Verse, just in general, and then however you want to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm going to go with if I found myself in their path. So, like just me, I run into one. I'm going to say that the Joker is worse because there's no telling what he's going to do. Agent of Chaos, right? Whereas the Kingpin, I feel like as long as I'm not messing up his plans, I can go about my business. So I'm going to go Joker.
That's what it is, huh? Joker, final answer?
Yep.
Joker is correct.
Not that hard.
No, I mean, Kingpin's kind of a dick, but you're right. The Joker is worse.
He is. He's a wild card, not to pun.
Wow, that was well done. All right, who's worse round 3? Oh, I don't have a capital S. Oh, whatever.
Okay, there are several facets to this. All right, so story-wise, I think, oh, wow, okay. Kylo is responsible for the death of billions. I mean, he helped, or at least partly responsible. Chiefly responsible, maybe not chiefly, but definitely involved in that. Also killed Han Solo. That's pretty harsh. Then again, I do not hate him as much as I hate Cersei Lannister. Which is a good job on the character of Kylo, I guess. I guess they show enough humanity, or I don't know what it is. I don't know why we don't hate Kylo as much as we really should. Even after the whole Han Solo thing. Or at least I didn't.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, so for one, Kylo at the spoilers, of course. Kylo at the end of it kind of has his redemption thing at the end. Not that he deserves it, but he kind of feels bad for what he had become. Whereas Cersei was just like, it sucks that I'm losing at the end. But there was no like understanding that she had been bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though the numbers don't support me, I'm gonna go with Cersei.
Cersei, final answer?
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, here's your 5.
Yeah, I'm shocked. She's bad, but he is the worst.
I'm curious. Yeah. Like, what's your counter argument? Not that I'd be too much against it, because I can understand. But
well, I mean, you led with it, right? Like, he's basically the chief responsibility of just killing how many people?
Yeah, it had to be billions, right? I mean, it was several planets.
Sure.
The whole system, I think.
Whole species. I mean,
well, he didn't take out a whole species. But
if they were on one of those planets, sure he did.
Yeah, I think he hit Republic planets that had like, several. It wasn't just like he hit Naboo and all the Gungans are gone kind of thing. Or Endor, the planet, the moon of Endor or anything, but
Sure.
I mean that's potato after you get to billions of people, right?
Sure.
Maybe. Yeah.
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 Okay. All right. Moving to round 4. So this was a little bit more specific because for those that watch The Walking Dead, Negan kind of gets a little bit of his redemption, and you kind of feel bad for him, especially in one of the last episodes of the last season. And Anakin, and I've been watching the Clone Wars, and Anakin, he still has those redeeming qualities up until that moment where he's hacking down younglings.
So, first of all, I haven't seen the last season of The Walking Dead.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I stopped and I don't really want to move forward. And I remember talking to other people who were watching it that there are a lot of people who have stopped at certain points and just not wanted to move forward.
Sure.
And I would, when I was watching, I was like, no, you got to keep going because this cool stuff happens. And now I'm sure there are other people who are saying the same thing to me. You got to see the last season and stuff. And I get it now. I kind of like at some point, it's not that you get tired of it, but it's kind of like we left it at a point where I'm okay. Like it's been so much. And Negan, of course, was a lot to take, especially when he showed up. That picture that you have of him is pretty much like the worst moment, right?
Sure, but is it worse than Anakin?
Well, okay, so last night I was talking to people that I play Star Wars RPG with right now, and we're playing in the middle of Clone Wars times. And a few years ago in game time, they brought a baby to the temple who had Force abilities. I think his name is Volter. And they ran into him recently. He's like 5 years old, and he's, working with Yoda, this little thing, and he says hi to him. And then like one of them last night was like, like did the math of what's going to happen in about 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, don't think about the future, dude. You can't put that in the. He's like, but no, not him. And like killing younglings. They just in the movie they just kind of go, oh, not the younglings, and then move on from that real quick. And they do show the little kid like, what do we do? And the lightsaber come on,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh. It's hard because you didn't get to know any of the younglings.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to know the people that Negan killed. I'm taking too long trying to figure it out.
No, it's fine. It's generating the chat's blowing up, which is great.
Yeah. Well, let me see what the chat says. Okay, so Donnie. Yeah, that's true. That's really hard.
Katia has a good comment up above too.
Oh, wow, that's true.
Yep.
Never ever, I guess.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna say anything.
No, I'm not gonna go that far. I'm not. I haven't seen the last season, but I'm not gonna go that far. He is really that bad. All right. Yeah, I'll have to go with Anakin, even though I think I hate Negan more.
So you're letting the comments persuade you?
I think they tipped me past the. Yeah. Again, the numbers as well. He's responsible for Alderaan, partly responsible at least.
Mm-hmm.
Those are millions of lives, and all the other Jedi he helped slaughter and stuff. But the younglings, that's the real tipping point. Yeah, you're right, Katya. Everyone loves hating Negan. All right, you picked Anakin.
Sure did.
I almost went the other way, just because I hated that moment.
The youngling moment, or when he's choking out Padme, or
no. I'm saying I almost went the other way because I hated the moment that you had Negan with the bat. That moment. I didn't hate that it was in the story. I hated that character for what he did in the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a great story, but
Okay, good. I'm glad that one challenged you a little bit. So what are we on round 4? So round 5.
ooh, oh, you went all kinds of. You went to a different direction on that one.
Hmm?
Agent Smith or the Boar Queen are almost kind of like following their own programming, huh? Huh.
I put a little bit of thought into these.
Yeah, you did. A lot
They're
more
not
than I did.
totally random.
Yeah. So Agent Smith. Um, which Agent Smith is that? That looks like the first. No, that looks like the episode 2 one. Where he comes back.
Just yeah. So I mean, early Agent Smith, right? Is whatever, and then he starts to do his own thing.
Right. Early Agent Smith is just a program in there. Like, I wouldn't really hate him. I would just not be happy about running into the program.
Right.
But whenever he comes back, he's definitely his own person. Although, even before then, he takes off his glasses, talking to Morpheus. He's like, I hate being in here, kind of thing. Kind of personalized him. So,
Mm-hmm.
And then the Board Queen. Yeah, that's tough. I know you're not a big Trekkie, but she's responsible for billions of lives being lost. Again, it's that whole number thing.
I did a little research.
What was that?
I did a little research.
Yeah. Wow. I think I'm going to have to go with the Borg Queen.
Really?
Yeah. It's not the numbers, actually. It's more the thing that she does to you. So Agent Smith, he basically just kills you by taking over your virtual body, kind of thing, right? And spreading like a virus. But she like removes your individuality, and you have to walk around like a zombie, but still somewhat self-aware of what's going on, but you're not in control of yourself. That's like lifetime of torture. That's to billions and trillions and trillions of beings. Yeah, that's worse.
So, final answer?
Yep. Look at you, 5 and 6. Wait, was that number 6?
That's 4 of 5.
Oh, okay. I thought we were on 6.
No, there is one more.
Because I'm taking too long.
That's fine. I'm enjoying it. All right, so round 6, ready?
I guess Corey loves sand. Thanos or Uho? Who's worse? Oh, okay. Yeah, these are some good ones. So the result of Thanos's actions, I would argue. Oh, I don't know if I would argue. It is a whole galaxy, isn't it?
Mm.
All right. So the result of Thanos's actions, half of all beings dead. That's rough. That's difficult to argue, right?
But he's doing it. I mean, we've talked about the argument that he could be the hero of the story because what he's trying.
Well, I mean, everyone has said that there are other options, and of course there are. Just double the resources if that's the issue, or whatever happens. But
and the MCU version is different than the comic version. He's doing it out of a different goal, right?
Comic version, he's much more selfish. He's doing it just to impress Lady Death, right? I actually like the movie version better because it makes him more of a interesting and understandable character. Palpatine, that's a great picture, by the way. Man, he is just a perfect planning evil machine of power consumption, right?
Probably the most thoughtful and conniving in the entire whatever you want to canon.
Yeah, his history too. I've read his book of his I can't remember his name now. It starts with a P. His master. It's a book that's about him.
Vegas?
Yeah, Plagueis. Yeah, and that's what it's called. It's Plagueis. It's a great book, and it has a lot of early stuff about Sheev in there. Well, to be fair, Palpatine believes what he's doing is not a good thing, but he believes it's right for him to do it.
Same as Thanos, right?
Yeah. Although Thanos is altruistic in his goals, even though he's wrong, whereas Palpatine is definitely doing it just for himself. Think I'm gonna have to go with Palpatine.
So the good old Chancellor. Final answer?
Yep. Final answer. Oh man, you did get 5 of 6.
I did.
Or so far, right? Is that the?
That was
you
it.
got one more?
No,
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, round 6. This was the one. This was the one that was getting me.
And was it just a numbers game for you?
I just figured. I mean, the whiny, cranky, like that whole part of him, and then the Han Solo thing, and then you tug at the heartstrings when you think about Chewie and him. Like, there's just so much more about him that is just worse. Whereas Cersei, you hate her, but I don't know. Put them together, I would have picked Kylo, and that was my. All right, I gotta. This one might not be right. I figured I had all the other ones pegged. This was the hard one for me.
This is the one you thought you'd lose?
Yeah. Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I tried to I showed you the whole Han scene where I was like, yeah, that's right. He killed Han. Yeah, screw him. Like, he's way worse. Look what he did. Didn't work.
Yeah. You know what's weird is that I think there's a part of me that doesn't hate him so much for the Han scene just because I knew that Harrison Ford wanted that.
Yep.
Because he was like, if Harrison Ford was like, man, I can't believe they killed me, all that kind of stuff, I might be a little bit more mad about it, I guess. Yeah. It was a really good ending, though.
Sure.
But not the ending anyone would envision. You'd expect him going out like a big blaze of glory, saving everybody, but having the sacrifice, that kind of thing. But turn it around, like making it was still important to the story, so.
Yeah.
That was good.
Oh, fine.
Well, you get your 5 out of 6,
I figured.
Like I said, you should be getting 6 out of 6.
Right, but if I'm happy with 5 out of 6, and if it went 6 out of 6, great. That's even better. But my goal was 5 out of 6, and that was what I wanted. So I'm happy. Me guessing right? Like, I knew I was going to get one of them wrong. That was the one I thought I was going to get wrong. So technically, I was right on all of them.
Well, I thought I'd get mine wrong, so I was right. Does that sound right?
No, not at all.
I don't think so. Okay, so next thing, actual title of this episode is our top 5 themed games. So there's some caveat stuff to this that we talked about beforehand. Mm-hmm. First of all, there's a rule on it, which is we weren't allowed to pick a game that shared a theme with another one. Basically, like if this is, the #1 horror game in our opinion, we can't have another horror game on the theme list, right? I probably said that better somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't think now that you said it that way, I think I might have screwed it up, but
whatever. And of course, some things are this and this theme, blends and stuff. So, it's all subjective in the end. So, do you have anything you want me to share screens, or you just want to talk games and stuff?
I have one actual visual, but you can share screen if you want to. I don't know if it's necessary. Most of like I said, one of them is probably not like what is he talking about, and I have that one here. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
The other one should be pretty known.
Yeah. Let's just talk. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Awesome. Do you want to list which categories we've used in our?
By the way, when did the whole beard thing start?
For me?
Yeah. Have you always had a beard?
Have you not been seeing me Monday since January 25th? What?
No, I guess not. But it looks good.
Yeah. Thanks. You've probably been staring at the picture from my sister's wedding in 2010. Yeah,
that's true. I was making fun of you for the soul patch.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
This is really a wig. This is just a glue on. Nothing's real.
You're just messing with me, putting on different hair every time. Yep. Yeah, I'm just now noticing.
Yep.
All right, didn't mean to distract.
No, it's fine. That's hysterical that you didn't know I have a beard.
Wait. I even did the cartoons that are on our thumbnail, and it has a beard. So
I wasn't going to say anything. I figured I could jump on that one. For this episode,
we shouldn't be doing this live. I would have edited it out.
Yeah, that's great. Yep. Yeah, there you go, Peter. Thanks.
Oh, I'm not watching a commenter. All right. So yeah, go ahead. Go first.
Right. I have 6 things.
That wasn't the thing. It's top 5.
Right. But you know how I hate top 5s. I hate top anything.
You gotta take one out.
Right. So I'm going to use one as my mention. Because one of the things all right. So thematic, when you look up theme, right, you're looking at horror, you're looking at sci-fi, you're looking at fantasy, and you threw one in there that was pirates or Vikings. So I'm going to use that as my mention, and then keep the horror, sci-fi, and fantasy as my top 5.
Okay.
And my pirates and Vikings theme, although I really wanted to pick Jamaica because I think Jamaica is a great game, I don't necessarily think thematically it represents a pirate game.
I agree.
Libertalia would be up there for me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's my biggest complaint about it, is it could just be anything on those cards.
Yeah, I still feel like you're backstabbing, or you got the monkey card and those character cards kind of come to life. They could be anything, sure, it could be space related, but I didn't pick it. I'm just saying it would be up there for me.
Okay.
But I recently played this game by Catalyst called Vikings, which is based on the TV show, which is the one I have.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't seen the show, it is great. Oh, it's History Channel. They just started filming the next series, which if I remember correctly, it's 100 years after this one.
Huh.
The series is great. Just there's I don't know, the character development and watching them go through, like, you really get behind the characters. And one of the things that this game does, the back does nothing for the game. Like, it's just really bad.
Oh, are those borders around those cards?
Yeah.
Graphic artists, please stop putting borders around cards where you don't need borders around cards. I hate it.
This was 2013, right? So board games were just becoming a thing.
Should have known better.
But one of the things this does is you have your village, and then from your village, I guess you might be able to look up a picture of it. But when you go out, you go hit the ocean, and you need certain things to be able to travel. That's what the ocean looks like. That's when you go across the water, right? So your village is this thing in the center, and then you start hitting the ocean, trying to make landfall. Everything is face down, and you don't know if it's going to be choppy seas, if you're going to find people that are, you need to fight. So you get to stock your longship with a certain amount of things: food for the trip, water for the trip, warriors for the trip, and heading out to do your thing, and then getting there and coming back, like having enough time to get back to your village with either a turn or two so you can kind of like make sense of what you just saw out there. It really helped me wrap my head. Like, it felt like I was watching the show playing the game. Like, it had that feel to it. So for a Viking game, not pirates, but for a Viking, of those two, that one came to mind as the most thematic pirate game that I've remember playing anyway.
That's pretty cool.
Not pirate, Viking. What am I talking about? Viking.
I I've been wanting to watch that series, but I haven't watched it yet.
Really good.
Should I watch the series, then play the game? Play the game, watch the series, doesn't matter.
If you watch the series and then you play the game, some of the character cards it'll just make it make more sense.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, that's my mention. Did you have a mention?
That's your mention?
Yeah.
No, I didn't have a mention because I follow the rules. But I also didn't do a pirate / Viking theme. So if the first thing that pops in my mind, what's funny is the first thing that popped in my mind was Merchants and Marauders, but I never play the pirate in that because it's too hard to be the pirate and win in that game. It's easier just to be a merchant.
Okay.
So it's really just merchants and whoever is going to lose the game, but have fun being a pirate. So I don't count that really as a great pirate experience. Instead, I'd pick Black Fleet, which is a really it is a very simple game, but you really do get to steal cargo from ships and run around and try to get them, like in that small little, in the very elegant mechanics mechanisms that they have. I'm trying. That they have, you still get to feel like, ooh, I get to go over there and rob the other ship from this, and I have to stay away from the Navy, or else they'll get me and all that stuff. So, just from the simple feeling like you're going and pirating people and running from the Navy, I'd go with that.
Okay. Yeah, Black Fleet's just the one with the ships, right? Like the
pretty much all pirate games are going to have ships, but yeah, those are the ones that I showed in our episode with the components where you could actually put the cubes on the ships,
right?
And that's important in the game because you move across the board with those cubes and sell them at different parts and stuff.
Right. Cool.
All right. So, by the way, I didn't really put these in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just picked 5 heavily thematic games, and so
sure. I didn't. I picked 5 thematic games in 5 different categories with a bonus 6th one, which we just explored. Because I don't follow your rules, because your rules are just guidelines anyway.
Yeah, no, they're rules, but you break them, and that's fine.
It next time it needs to come with a player aid.
Player aid. We have Discord. You could read that. All right. So what's your first one?
All right. In no order. My first one is horror themed. And it's Kingdom Death Monster.
Never played it, but I know what it is, obviously.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know about obviously, but yeah, people talk about it quite a bit. So
yeah.
Have you played it all the way through?
Nope.
I don't know if I've met anyone who's played it all the way through.
Yeah, it's there's a lot, right? You play a lot of Lantern Years, 20 something, 28, 25. I don't know if who's watching, but if anybody knows. But yeah, it's pretty, like, the stories, the art. It's a very simple type of game. You have this 3x3 grid of armor, weapons, vests, hides, whatever. And then you fight this one monster, and the monsters all react differently. They all do completely different things based on their deck, whether they're a lion or a phoenix or whatever. And then you get back to your village, and you get to, like, take what you won or hacked off of, like, this Giga Lion and make stuff with it. But, like, you really feel like this, like, the monster on the game, on the board, is like, it's alive, because it is dice rolling, but man, it knows exactly what you're going to do and knows exactly how to get away from you.
But you're hunting down the monster?
Sometimes they're hunting you.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask, because it always seemed like that it's a horror theme, but you're playing the hero that's, like, hunting down the bad guy. So is it really horror, more adventure? Like if it was a movie, you'd be like Vin Diesel, and everybody else would be in a horror movie, but you'd be in an action movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I guess the preamble of the story is like you wake up, you don't know where you are, you're dark, like everything's dark, and you have this one lantern. So basically, you have a lantern and a loincloth. You have nothing, and then you're fighting. Like you end up finding some stuff. You find some other people, maybe, and you fight. Like the first thing you fight is this lion, and it just pounces. Like it grabs you and runs away. It's like it's playing with its food, kind of thing. And then you can play like you can just play these harder monsters that just react and play on the board completely different. It's like a boss in level 1 is not going to play. If it was the same thing every time you played Mega Man wouldn't be as great, right? Every boss does a different thing. And but then sometimes you like the story will lead you like there's this butcher that comes and finds you, and then you have no choice but to fight this butcher, and he hunts you down. But it feels different I mean, you can play the same lion back to back to back to back, and it feels a little samey, but if you push yourself, man, the game is just it's good. The only knock I have on it, and the only reason I don't own it, other than its ridiculous price point, is that you have to put the pieces together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And some of them have like, and I don't know. I don't want to get too
You
much.
mean like the minis and stuff, right? Like Shadows over the Brimstone kind of thing, where you got to glue them together.
Glue them together. Yep. And there's one monster that has like these little tiny hands, and you put them all around its backside, and you got to glue every one of them.
I've seen that monster because someone was complaining about the same thing.
Yeah. So
that's Thematic, right?
Own it, and we just play the copy.
The first game is you being Frankenstein, where you're putting all the monsters together.
Yes. Yeah, the first game is putting it together.
All right. Well, I will counter with my horror. I did a horror one as well, and it's Dead of Winter.
So that was I was tossing both of those in the ring, but
Dead of Winter. Obviously, every time I walk away from that game, I could tell the story.
Yeah,
I could say we did this, I chose to do this, but this other person chose this, and then this person betrayed us, or I thought that person was a traitor and I was wrong. Like every single game, you have a different story, and and you could tell the whole thing from start to finish.
Yep.
And to me, if you can walk away and tell a story about what your character did or what you did in there, that's heavy theme right there. And I've always said that, like right when it came out, and I played it a few times, I was like, they don't ever need to make a zombie game again.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. This is all I ever will need from a zombie game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I've really picked one up since then. I played Zombie 15. I don't know if you've ever played that one.
Just talked about it this weekend.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Zombie 15 has that feeling of like running around fighting zombies and stuff, so that's fun. I don't really get story from it other than I killed 15 of them, or whatever it is, but there's no real story from it and stuff. But it did feel, because it's timed and you're like go kind of thing, it does have kind of that horror feeling. So that was my coming behind, but it's a distant one behind Dead of Winter.
Yeah, I would if it came down to Zombie 15 and Escape Curse of the Temple, I'd play. I might have mentioned on the show, I played Escape Curse of the Temple one day for 8 hours straight, and it's a 10-minute real time game. And we just made that deck of tiles. Like we threw in the curses, then we threw in some expansions, and then just shuffled and did just ramped it up every time we beat the game. Where Zombie 15, it's 15 minutes, and you're still you still got that timed rush kind of thing. It doesn't have the get back to the middle, which Escape does, because you feel like you kind of want to go out and do some stuff, but man, that gong goes off and you got to roll right to get back.
Right.
And they did the Escape Zombie City too, which is the zombies, and you got to roll to defeat the zombies. But with Zombie 15, and the reason it came up this weekend is it takes longer to set up the damn board than it does to play the damn game.
That's true. It takes longer than 15 minutes to set everything up. Yeah.
I can't, right? Like if the game setup is longer than the game play, I'm kind of
yeah.
Play it once, play it twice, set up the next. But even in between, right? You beat the game in 10 minutes, right? You got 15, you beat it in 10. Great. Let's go on to scenario 2. Find these 14 tiles. Okay, where are the numbers on the tile? Which order? Which flip? Like it just.
And then what's funny is I played Escape twice, and I still have it, but we only played it twice, and it failed for us both times.
Wow.
And the reason is because neither one of us heard the gongs.
Oh,
It was just like, da-da-da, and we're like, what? Where was the gong?
what are you playing with? You using the CD?
So, yeah, we were using an app on the phone.
No. There's a YouTube video that does that, and you play it, and it like the whole screen goes red. So not only do you hear the music, but you see the screen goes red too.
That'd be better.
It
We just didn't hear it. Both times we tried one with, like, there was one with heavy music and then one with like lighter music where you would hear it.
yeah.
Didn't hear it either way. So, and I've heard other people not have this issue. So
Yeah.
I would totally try it again, in some other method, like you said, with the YouTube video or something. But yeah, so that one unfortunately fell flat. I still have it. So.
Oh, it's great. It's so great.
All right. Should we bounce back? Should I do one now?
Do your next thing. I'll see if I can counter with the same topic.
Do what?
I'll see if I'll be able to counter with the same topic.
All right. Well, you probably did a fantasy one.
No.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. All right. So fantasy. I actually didn't go the traditional orc, goblin, elf fantasy thing. I went the other fantasy, and I went with Sleeping Gods.
Ooh, okay.
So you haven't played Sleeping Gods yet, right?
Nope, not yet.
So I haven't finished a campaign yet. You could do you could just do campaigns forever almost in this thing. But you get thrown into the universe and you're just in it and you stay in it. Like it's, you can tell a story afterwards because it's one of those has a book and tells stories in it, right?
Mm.
But there's a little bit more to it. It just feels like you're making more choices and that those choices are kind of connected. Like you could be in a situation where somebody says, oh, I think this person might be somewhere near, I've had a vision and there's a person near a great bird. And you're like, wait a minute, I know miles away there's this large statue that looks like a bird. You know what I mean? Like I made all that up. I didn't spoil anything.
Damn it. I was looking forward to finding that statue.
I mean, there is stuff like that, but, and you could just go, oh, that thing looked like a bird. I even commented that it looked like a bird as we went by. And then you could go to it looking for this bird. You know what I mean? So one of the best parts about it is that choices that you make give you keywords and you hold on to them. And later on, there'll be a story like, hey, if you have this keyword, do this instead. And that's what connects all the stories together. So it's not like Arabian Nights where just every single story is just a random, whatever and not connected to stuff. Like not all the stories, but many of the stories are connected to other things. It feels all threaded through and stuff.
Right.
And you really feel like you're on this adventure. So, yeah, Ryan Lockett's fantasy world.
Yeah, Ryan's awesome. I've said it in probably more than half of the shows we've had so far. Ryan Lockett game is worth getting, owning, playing. They're fantastic.
Now your fantasy?
Well, I have two.
That's not the rules.
I have Fantasy Magic.
Oh, okay.
And I have Fantasy Animals.
Okay.
Right, so we kind of in our pregame, you talked about like sci-fi space or sci-fi other. So
hold on, let me just get the rules here.
There, I have the rules. There, you wrote that down specifically: sci-fi space, sci-fi other.
All right.
Then fantasy magic and fantasy other. So I changed
suggestions, but yeah.
Well, I took those suggestions because they were in your rule book, and I ran with them.
All right. What do you got?
So I'm getting it out of the way. My fantasy magic is Gloomhaven.
Yeah, I almost put that for theme. I honestly have only played the first part of it, so I couldn't really, and that was years ago, so I couldn't really speak too much to it.
I've actually never played it.
Oh.
But I watched Rolling Solo play through scenario 1, episode by episode by episode, where like he left it up to choice. So if I watched the game being played that much, it brought me right into the whole thing, right? The characters, the unlocks, the things that were going on, the maps of it. Like you really felt like the only thing that doesn't feel thematic is the dual-sided cards, which, I mean, I guess it's like you thinking, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? So tactical, but I mean, it's just, it had to be on there. So for Fantasy Magic, it's Gloomhaven for me. I crossed it off and then wrote it back in. I'm like, I can't put Gloomhaven. And then I wrote it back in because how can I not?
I see Peter asking probably asking why Dwellings of Elderveld isn't in the theme. It's actually written right here next to Sleeping Gods. The only reason why I went more not the only reason, but for one, I worked on Dwellings a little bit and stuff. Feels kind of picking that. But secondly is I have a place for that in a future episode that I wanted to focus more on mechanisms than the theme. So
fair enough. And the only reason I haven't played it is I didn't pick it is because I haven't played it. I've heard phenomenal things about it. You're
going to lose Peter with that.
I haven't gotten it to the table. It looks amazing. Everything about it is just top notch, through the roof. I just haven't. I've opened it. I've looked at it all. I read through it. I've watched a video or two. I just haven't played it.
It's also a game feel that you haven't felt before. I can tell you that. Well, I know you also have Cryo. You should play Dwellings before Cryo, in my opinion, anyway.
Right, I'm waiting for Keith to learn Cryo. He's got it, and I agree. You're right, Peter. I haven't played Gloomhaven, but I watched. It was almost as if I was watching a TV series of episodes of Gloomhaven, and I feel that me watching somebody play the damn game that much throughout the entire scenario at hour and a half clips, going through it was thematic, not even playing it. So
it's a fair gripe because it was so close.
Wow, look at Corey.
But yeah, I know. I just had that up.
Wow. All right, I have homework to do by next week then.
You should. Actually, I do know that it's on. Oh, wait. Is it on virtually? Not yet. I'm supposed to get that up, so never mind.
Oh, wow. So on you.
That's my fault. Partly my fault. Not all me.
Okay.
But it will be soon. So if you can't soon, then we'll eventually get to play it virtually.
I have it up by the table. I'm just waiting to. Maybe I'll bring it tomorrow to game night. I don't know. Thank you, Katya. At least someone's in my corner. Damn it.
Well, we know from last week's episode that she really likes Gloomhaven.
Right.
I enjoyed it too. I just, have other outlets for that kind of game. So, that was your fantasy. What you got after that? Oh wait, you wanted to bend the rules and give a second fantasy, right?
Well, there was Fantasy Magic and Fantasy. You had other.
Oh, okay. That's another one that you want to do.
Right. It's still part of my 5.
Okay.
So I have. All right, here. I have horror. I have Fantasy Magic, which we just went over. I have Fantasy. You had other. I have Fantasy Animals, so I made it more specific. I also have Sci-Fi Space and Sci-Fi Other.
I put Sci-Fi Space, but I didn't do a Sci-Fi Other.
Then what are your other 2? Huh. All right. Well, I'll stick with fantasy then.
All right, go ahead.
And I went Fantasy Animals, and I went with Mice and Mystics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could totally see that. I mean, you definitely have a story walking away.
Absolutely. Chapter by chapter, right? Like what happens in the sewer and then what happens by the tree with the crows coming in and getting you. It's just...
I'm not normally. I'm just making fun of Mike.
Yeah, so Mice and Mystics for my fantasy non-magic. Although you can kind of, I guess, argue that the curse that turns them into mice is magic.
Yeah. Yeah, there is magic in there.
Yeah, but it's fantasy animals, not fantasy magic. I
Yeah,
haven't.
I mean that's fair. I mean, yeah, I mean,
Right.
I've played the first two games of that, right? Getting out of the jail and trying to get out of the castle, I think it is that you're in, or the dungeon.
Yeah, where you can go up to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we stopped because it was weird. It was like I would have, if there was a book to continue reading the story, I would love to do that. But the gameplay itself was a little fiddly and a little boring mechanisms wise for us. So we stopped. But I'd rather continue the story because I was interested in the story. So.
I really like the turn order selection, right? You shuffle the cards, you put them out, and they go in that order, and it's never the same. Like that's kind of There's a lot. There's a lot about that game I love. The minis are great. The story is great. The artwork's great.
Well, I didn't have a second fantasy one, so instead I will go with my mystery one.
Ooh,
so mystery theme is Detective City of Angels.
Ooh.
I think I have it right behind me, actually.
Very nice.
And I'm a huge film noir fan.
As some of us know by your chapter that you wrote in the Discord.
I did write it. Oh, you mean that I just wrote a lot about? Yeah. I actually wrote that whole chapter. I've written chapter 1 of Star Wars: A Film Noir Story. I won't finish it, just like every other book, but it's good so far.
I believe it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And no one will read it anyway. Nobody reads anything, right? So mystery, Detective City of Angels. Yeah, I mean, you walk away. Not only is it like there is a scripted story, right? Like this is what happened. This is how you solve it thing.
Right.
But the way that you go about solving it. And I play with the chisel. I've never played with the other ways. It doesn't mean that I think that way is better. Well, from the description, I think it is, but I haven't played the other one, so I wouldn't know. I know some people like the cooperative version. I'm not a big cooperative player, so I like the chisel part, and I like playing the chisel versus as well as playing the detectives. But the whole storylines and stuff like that, I just love it, and I really feel like I'm in that story by the time it's done too. So,
okay, I think I might be playing that tomorrow, but
you played it before?
I have not.
Oh,
yeah.
How are you playing it? Are you playing it with the chisel, or are you playing it?
Don't know. Somebody else knows the game and will probably teach it. So I know Bob, who I normally meet with every weekend to work on that game. Bobby is a big fan, and chisel or that's been a conversation of chisel or no chisel. So
I love the game a lot. When I went on the Dice Tower cruise in 2020, right before the whole pandemic, I came home and it was like so getting off a cruise ship, perfect timing, right?
Yeah, it was great. Washy.
Yeah, you know. We played it. I think we played it 3 times. Peter played it as well. If he's still here, I think he's abandoned us.
Yeah, he's never watching the show.
He's never coming back. But Peter and a couple other friends played, and I played the chisel the whole time because I had played the first 3 episodes. So I just played this chisel, and it was great. Oh, look, still here. Peter's still here. And like I said, I love playing both parts and stuff. So it's really, and I didn't mind going back playing the chisel too. So I would suggest your first time being a detective, just so you get that feel. And if you ever want to introduce it to someone else, you could play the chisel for that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I know I need to.
It's the only game of that all of 2020 I haven't played that I've been wanting to play so badly, but it's not a 2-player game.
Right.
And I can't play anything beyond that. So.
Right.
Thanks. Thanks, Peter. So I know you don't have a mystery one, so what's your next one?
I do not. I can either go with sci-fi other or sci-fi space.
Go sci-fi other, and then do space, and then I have a space.
All right, perfect. So my sci-fi other is Time Stories.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because, I mean, really, there's too much about it that's just great in the sci-fi world, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, no argument that it's sci-fi, but the experience you have isn't often sci-fi,
Right.
right? I mean, like the first one is kind of horror.
Yeah, like, can you call Groundhog Day sci-fi? No.
No, I'd call that fantasy. Some magical power thing.
Ooh.
But no. I mean, like, I meant the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely is sci-fi. But the feeling that you get depends on the story you're playing. Like, there's the one that's the dragon gem or whatever it was.
Right.
You know, it was all mystics and magic and stuff like that. There was the Arkham Asylum thing.
Wasn't there a noir one too?
Which one?
I thought there was a noir, like a noir-ish type scenario.
Is there?
I don't know, 1920s, maybe 19.
Ooh.
Maybe not.
If not, then I would love to play that one because I mean, if there is, I'd love to play that one. I think the only one I haven't played is like the last one they made for the first series.
All right. Yeah, I would say the first game, right, would definitely be sci-fi.
That is the one drawback to Time Story. Well, not the one, but the major drawback to Time Stories is whenever you're like, okay, now we got to repeat everything we did. Yeah. We would often just go, okay, if we go here, it'll be that, and we would reduce the time and get ourselves back to where we want to be. Because we're not just going to put out all the cards, put out the card. You know, we're not going to go through the motions. We just counted how many actions it would take us to get back to where we wanted to be, kind of thing. So
you mathed it out.
Yeah, it makes it a little easier to take.
Sure.
Unless you're worried about missing something, in which case, you know.
Right.
But yeah, good pick.
Thank you.
So I realize now that if you do your next one, then I'll have two after you. So.
Did I go two in a row?
Yeah, because you don't have to. Let me do my space one, then you'll do your space one, and I'll do my. Okay. So my sci-fi space one is Star Wars Outer Rim, which also hits IPs, which really isn't theme. But you've played half a game with us because we never finished a game. Yep. You, me, and my brother.
Yep.
That's not how you say that. You, my brother, and me. Yeah. But I had my first game I ever played of that. I was Boba Fett, and I focused on bounty hunting, and I won really well. And I felt like I was going around bounty hunting in the Star Wars universe. The second time I played, I was Dr. Aphra, and I focused on doing jobs, and they had little stories on there. They're like, first you have to get past the henchmen, so roll your stealth. Now you have to fight these guys because you failed at your stealth, and now you have to do that, you know, and it carries you through a little story on those cards. I love that stuff. And afterwards you can walk away and say, you know, I got to get a better ship, a faster ship, I went through the Kessel Run, all that stuff, you know. So it's the quintessential Star Wars experience, which is also Star Wars, sci-fi space. So
right. Yeah, I think the cards in that, the story that develops in that reminds me a lot of the stories that develop in Arkham, right? Like the story that comes out of, you're going to camp the newspaper. Yeah, I camped the newspaper 5 times. I finally got my retainer. I ended up going over here and getting kicked out, and the gang found me or whatever. I like the story that comes out of it.
Yeah,
so that story at the end is fantastic.
Yeah, the only difference is that the pieces are connected because it's all on one card.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
like it's all one big, like if you're doing a heist, you get past the people, you do this, and you get caught, and you know, or if you did get past them, then you don't get caught, and you know, as some jumping over things if you do it well enough. So,
yeah, I would like to play that again. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can finish the game we played, but
It's been so long, I'd rather just start over. Plus, I wasn't winning.
That's true. I think your brother was housing us.
He was only like 1 or 2 ahead of me, but yeah. But yeah, so that's my space. I feels a little cheatery doing a Star Wars one for space because I did have at first Merchant of Venus.
Yeah.
Which also has a really good thematic feel, going around exploring, pick up, deliver stuff, and running into asteroids and stuff like that. But choices were made.
I'm surprised Lance isn't in the comments yelling at you for not putting in Battlestar Galactica for your sci-fi space.
Never played Battlestar Galactica.
I'm still surprised he's not in the chat yelling at you.
I've seen the whole. Well, here's why. I have a good reason why. My brother has the game, and I think a couple of expansions. And when Erin and I would go to game night, she has not seen Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
And she hadn't at that point. And so I said, well, I don't want to play that game with her because there are spoilers.
Right.
The first season spoilers, I believe. So I said, well, let us watch this or whatever. So by the time we got to where she had seen enough of it to where that was the case, the game people don't play that anymore. So it just has not hit the table over there since. So, I'd still like to give it a go. I'm worried now at this point that it might be a little outdated time-wise for like taking as long as it does and stuff like that. I'm worried that I might be potentially impatient by that time because I've been spoiled by other mechanisms.
Right. That's twice you said mechanic.
No. I caught that one.
So I heard today from Lance that he has been approved to come to QSCon. So get yourself up here in November, and I'm sure we could have a pretty diesel game of Battlestar here.
So, I mean, you gave Lance a game to go. What I shop behind you here? What do I want?
No, this isn't a shop. That's not how this works.
You offered him a game to come to your con. You're not gonna offer me something?
I thought it was something about cutting my hair or something on a live show. Isn't that what?
Cut your hair.
All right.
Do I look like I care about hair? I mean, I'll cut your hair, but
I want to turn a wig and have you wear it on a show.
Do I get to decide the haircut?
No.
Yeah. Okay, that's different.
Nope.
I'm thinking like one of those nice sharp cuts like that.
Nope.
Make you look all nice and stylish.
No, that's not happening. I would not give you that much creative control. Nope.
Mohawk sounds fun.
Mohawk, I'm okay with.
Yeah, sideways Mohawk.
That I am not okay with.
And you could spray paint it so it goes up like this, like that guy on Babylon 5.
Not happening. If it brings you up here, then we'll talk.
But you got to keep it for like a week.
Till the next show?
Yeah. I like the idea of doing a live show at the con.
Right. Which will happen. Like, that's the thing. So, because I believe most everyone that has been participating, Peter, I'm looking at you, will be here. Katia will be here. Corey and Donnie will be here. Lance, hopefully you. Daryl will be here. So everyone that's been on the show, and I'm working on Richard. I was working on him before the pandemic shut everything down. So Richard might even be here.
So that's QSCon, which is in Syracuse, New York. Syracuse?
Yeah.
And that's in November 7th?
4th to the 7th.
4th through the 7th. Okay. Daryl.
Yep. I said Daryl. Did I say Daryl?
I don't think you did. Okay, so we got one more game each, right?
Yeah, I think so. You, me, you.
You first. Good.
Yeah, so I went with Star Wars sci-fi space as well.
Did you? Same one?
No.
Rebellion? Oh, Queen's Gambit, did it?
Yeah.
Queen's Gambit. I've never played it. I'd love
Yeah,
to play it though.
I still think it's one of the best. Outer Rim was great. I liked Imperial Assault, although it was Descent-ish. But man, it really captures that whole what's going on in that ultimate moment of episode 1, where all these things are popping off, and you're just trying to like either cause the chaos or put out the fires, and it's awesome.
I'd love to play it sometime.
Well, there's this thing happening in November.
And you're going to give it to me.
No.
You're going to give me Queen's Gambit? I mean, Lance is getting the game, right?
So the ironic part here is that I believe, unless things get reprinted, I believe it would be cheaper and easier for me to find a copy to replace Queen's Gambit than it would to find a replacement for the Daybreak expansion.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Well, I guess we know who you want there the most.
A good game.
Lance is getting a nice game out of it. Yeah, Katia says it's going to be a party.
Sure is.
All right. So my last theme is Western. And when you go Western, you got to go Western Legends. I don't know if you've played this or not.
No.
No, in fact,
it's right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Western Legends.
Yeah, I've heard great things about it.
It is so good. It's total sandbox. Do what you want, which, you know, already feels kind of Western, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's what I like about Star Wars Outer Rim is kind of sandboxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is less restrictive there because in Star Wars, you're kind of stuck kind of going this way or that on the rim. This one, you feel like you could just run across the desert, go up to the mines, you know, do whatever you want. They have this great, like you can be a white hat or black hat kind of thing. You can even do stuff to redeem yourself, or you could go the martial route and try to get the other players who are going black hat. There are players that want to do their own thing and just be. I don't think you can get away with that in here. Like if you want to do your own thing and be a black hat, then white hats are going to hunt you down.
Yeah.
And then you're not doing your own thing. And if you want to be a white hat and you just let black hats run amok, black hats will win. So it has this great feeling that you have to like be involved, which with most sandbox games, including Outer Rim, you almost don't have to pay attention to what other people are doing. So I think Western Legends does what is a rare thing is in a sandbox game that's competitive, you have to really watch what other people are doing and be involved in that. So I still haven't gotten the expansion to the table yet, though.
I don't even think I own it. Shocked. You had mentioned in the game it's a sandbox. You can move, like if you want to go to the mountains or you want to go whatever. What do they do for movement? How do you move? If it's sandboxy, how can you just go anywhere? Is everything open at the gate, or
you have a static movement, and then you can like get horses and mules and stuff like that to increase your static movement. So
you start with a base movement, and then you can increase.
Yeah, it's been since 2019 since I played because 2020 messes up the really cool big games.
Sure.
So I believe it's like, I want to say maybe 3 spaces you can go, 2 spaces. Someone correct me if you know, but you have that static, and then you can get horses and stuff like that, and you can upgrade your horses to be even better and stuff like that.
And the cities are connected by like trails or whatever?
There's only really 2 cities, and it's not like there's a space that's this city and there's a space at this city. They just have like different spaces and they're clustered together. So it even feels like you could just hit the blacksmith and leave the city real quick. The marshal can get you anywhere. Mines are on 2 different spots and stuff. You could, in this game, you could decide to be like, I'm not going to do any of this stuff. I'm just going to go mining and then take my gold to the bank. That's what I'm going to focus on. but then you're doing your own little thing. You've got 1 point in white hat or whatever, and somebody runs past you and they're a black hat, they're wanted. You could get all these points if you attack them, and you're like, yeah, I got to go after that guy. Just opportunities like that pop up and stuff. Yeah, it's really good, and it has the feeling of a Western.
Okay.
So, I also like the poker in it.
Right.
It's not like you have to know poker, but you do actually feel like, oh, I'm going to go play poker, and you put money down, and you have your little. But it doesn't. They do it really elegantly and so that it's quick. It's not like you're playing poker all of a sudden, like everybody has to stop and play poker now. So, yeah, it's very well done.
Cool.
So that was that was all 5 of yours, right?
I have all 5 of mine marked.
We didn't have any crossovers.
No, I'm surprised. I thought you were going to put Battlestar, but I forgot you didn't play it.
Yeah.
I had Battlestar and I crossed it off.
Well, I mean, to be fair, what I've heard about it sounds really thematic and very close to, like, are they a Cylon? I even love the idea that you could be a Cylon and not know it. That's super thematic to the. So I love that. I probably would. It would probably at least be like an almost in that list, right? So.
We've talked about Evan's game, Dark Moon. You've played Dark Moon?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, before that it was BSG Express. Kind of got that the same kind of element.
Yeah.
All-Star is way deeper and way longer, but.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I was saying, is that I was afraid that I would be impatient for the game because I've played Dark Moon quite a bit.
Right.
And if it was longer than that and more drawn out, I don't know if I'd have that much patience anymore because I've been spoiled, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool.
So that was our top 5. I guess our top 5.
Yeah.
It was some good 5. How about that?
Sure, yeah. It was a Baker's 5.
Baker's 5. That's not even a thing.
It is now.
All right, so you have something in our show notes here about making it. No, you don't?
No, I'm sure I do. I put stuff in there. It's funny because I put them in there as suggestions, and then you just take them and run with them. As many times as I tell you, yeah, delete them or change them, it's like, nope, we're doing it.
Well, outside of what we do during this time that we're filming, you probably put more into that than I do. So,
just ideas that come to me.
No, I'm specifically talking about the roll and move coming back, and maybe some other mechanisms that are coming back.
Yeah. Yep.
So you said you had a game that you played recently.
Yeah. So in the Discord, someone had made a comment about.
Hold on. I have a question. I keep forgetting to ask this question. We have people in the comments. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry. Oh, wait. And of course, Dark Moon is super fun.
I agree with that.
But I have a question for the audience here. Is this better, or is this better?
Nope.
I mean, I feel like we're the ones that there's so much blue here, like we're losing a lot of space. But at the same time, who wants to see this, right?
Thank you, Donnie.
Back up. Donnie wants us to get even further. I can make myself all blurry if that makes it better.
You could do the Lance.
All right. Well,
yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Just curious. Let us know. I know you're not a big fan. I'm not crazy about putting. I mean, we could do something like that.
No, that's even worse. I mean, put it on full screen, and I think our heads are big enough, right? Like, no, Corey, no.
Yeah, Katya says too close as well. All right, well, we'll stay here. All right, sorry for the interruption. Please move on with the game that you were playing.
We have a definitive answer of how do we keep the screen. Change the background. Put a logo up there. Make the banner bigger on the bottom. I don't know.
No, it's just that people aren't here to see 50% blue screen. You know.
True, but there are also people that just have this on in the background that are not. They don't want to look at little Grogu over here or your Boba Fett head.
And that's why I didn't know you had a beard. Now I can see the beard. Look at that.
Not
beard.
That's not true. That's
out of focus beard. I think Grogu's more in focus than you are.
He should be.
Actually, I'm a little out of focus because I messed with mine before. There we go.
Yeah, it could also be just my crappy computer, right?
No. All right. No, so anyway, your
yeah. So someone in the Discord mentioned Roll and Move making a comeback, and I said that I actually played a Roll and Move over the weekend that does it a little differently. And Katya is right. Maybe the blue background is more attractive.
Hey, maybe we should just minimize our screens and just have blue background.
Do it.
I would. I mean, we've had more than one request to turn this into audio only. Just saying, this isn't selling it.
One of those requests was from me.
That's true.
Although now that I know you look like what's his name, Chris Santos, now I can't get that out of my head.
I do.
Like dropped earlier. I was like, yeah, that's Chris.
That you were one of the ones, yes. Yes, you were one of the ones that asked for audio.
Right. No, I think what Katya is saying is she might have been the one. I'm not opening up Discord. I believe it was her. Someone has said something about Roll and Move making a comeback.
Oh, that's right. That was your
So I thought that would be something interesting to talk about. Because typically, and we've talked about the game course, the game design course that Keith and I do in the classroom, we structured the board of No Bueno to be a Monopoly board. And when you do something that's, you're late on an assignment or you want more time for an assignment because you couldn't plan well over the weekend, you roll the die and you move and you suffer the consequence of, coming up with questions for a stranger or bobbing for turkey, as we showed on the show. So we kind of poke fun at Roll and Move being like, ugh, right? Because there's no player choice. You can't, unless it's move up to, if you're specific, you have no choice in where you land. You have no choice in how you can like mitigate the bad rolls or whatever. But over the weekend, Bobby taught us Rallyman GT. And he made a really interesting comment that, have you played it?
No.
It's the game that brought up Zombie 15 for me. The way they set up the track, they have a map of the track, and then they have a list of the tiles for the track. But the numbers on the tiles are so friggin' small on the map itself that you got to really picture match. Like, oh, well, this is the curve going this way, so that goes here. Now I need this weird looking V. Like, it's just setting it up was a chore. Playing it was different. But he made a comment that it was more of a move and roll, which I thought was interesting.
Well, how's it play? Like, do you have dice?
You do. And the track.
You mean roll and move, or did you mean move and roll?
Move and roll. And this is how it plays. So you figure out who's in the starting position, right? And inside lane is farther than the outside lane. Certain turns have requirements. You have to be in that gear or lower in order to hit that turn. So like it could be like a wicked 180 and you got to be in gear 1, or it's got to be like a 90 degree and you got to be in gear 2. There are four dice, 1 through 4. Each one of them has one exclamation point, like triangle, and the other 5 sides are the number of the gear. So 1, 2.
You mean 4-siders?
No, they're D6s.
Oh, okay.
So the dice represent gear 1, 2, 3, and 4. One of each of those sides of a D6 is an exclamation point, which means danger, right? If at any point you get 3 danger, you crash. And then there's a checkoff system based on what kind of car you're driving and what G you're in, G4, G6, whatever. Yeah, I heard Formula D was a little, I haven't played it, but
I haven't played it either.
Yeah. but I've heard good things about it. Actually, Flamme Rouge is a really good racing game too, but I digress. So what you do is you figure out based on the dice that you have. So again, you have the 4 dice that represent 1 through 4. You have 2 break dice that are red, and 2 of the 6 sides are these exclamation points. And if you ever need to downshift, you have to downshift with that die, right, to break. And then there's coast die, which are white, and 1 of the faces are the exclamation point. 5 of the faces are just blanks.
Can I just say something? I'm already lost. My mind kind of wandered a little bit because you said downshift, and I don't know how to drive stick, and so I was like, okay, I guess maybe I need to know stick. And then you said something else. I was like, oh, I'm lost. I've told you before, I can't follow along whenever you start talking about how games go unless I have visuals.
Sure.
Hopefully the rest of the group is catching up, but just know, not really sure what you're talking about at this point. There were 6-sided dice. I knew that.
So when it's your turn, you decide which dice you want to use and where you want to go.
So you move as far as you want, but that dictates how many dice you use?
So you're literally taking the dice and putting them on the spaces on the track of where you're positioning yourself on the track. So if you want to move, if you're in, yeah, that's a good one too. The expansion here.
The only racing game I've ever really played is Downforce.
Downforce is good. Downforce is good, but it's card based, right?
Yeah.
So if you start off, obviously your car is not moving, right? So you're in 0. And if you want to speed up, then you have to go to gear 1. So you take the 1d6 and you put it in the space in front of you.
Okay.
And if you want to push your luck and keep going, you can put the gear 2 die in front of the gear 1 die in the next space, right? And that represents you going into 2nd gear, speeding up. Then if there's a turn coming up, maybe you don't want to get into gear 3 because you might be going too fast and you could crash. So you can coast. So then you take the white die and you put the white die in front of the 2, which you only have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a bad thing, right? And then maybe you coast again, maybe you go into 3rd, whatever it is. You put your dice out first. And then you have a choice of either rolling them all together in 1, and then every success you get, or every die that if you don't crash, you get these extra tokens that give you benefits, or you can roll each die in turn and then decide to stop. So you could roll the first die. If it comes up an exclamation point, okay, roll the second die. If it comes up an exclamation point, you'd be like, well, wait a minute, I don't want to move because I could crash. So technically you're moving, then rolling instead of rolling and moving that many spaces. It's really interesting the way that mechanism works. Technically it's a roll and move, but technically you're moving first, then you're rolling.
So here's what's interesting about roll and move, the traditional roll and move. What?
Late, Lance. I figured you'd be here earlier when we were going over sci-fi space.
Oh yeah, if we talked about you and your Battlestar Galactica way back there. He's just got a big delay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about roll and move, the traditional roll and move. Normally, when you have it's called input output randomness or whatever, but basically if you have a choice before randomness happens, that is usually like a Ameritrash, whatever you want to call it, games, right? Which is I choose to go here, then I draw a card and something random happens.
Right.
And that's the American theme kind of experience. Whereas Euro is usually random, then choice. Cards go out and I choose which card to get, right? But with roll and move, it's actually opposite and feels opposite, because roll and move is roll dice randomness first and then choose which way to go. Or some places you can only go like, I don't know, shoot some ladders or something like that. There's no choice, right? But if it's like Talisman, you could either go east or west or go into an expansion or something like that. There are a few choices afterwards. Same thing with like Merchants of Venus. You roll dice and then try to get them to work in certain ways by making choices. But that's always felt American, even though the random happens then choice.
Mhm.
And what you're saying right now, with choice happening first, then roll, almost feels opposite of that. Like, I would never say that was European feeling, but it definitely doesn't feel as bad as roll then move,
Right.
which is interesting. Or at
Yeah.
least it doesn't seem like it would feel. I haven't played the game yet, but
Yeah, it was a different feeling in a mechanism that felt familiar.
yeah. And you hate roll and move, right?
Not a fan. Well, there's no choice, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's no player choice, and if it's roll and move, and there's some mitigation in someone whose dice hates them, then fine. My closest thing that I got to liking was Quest for the Antidote, which everyone starts off with 50 breaths. You have 50 breaths. You've just been poisoned. You have to find the antidote before you die. And every action you take, whether it's to move, to draw a monster and fight it, to roll against a monster to try and beat it, everything you do takes a breath away from you. And you have to find the ingredients for the antidote and make it back to the apothecary before you hit breath 0. So it's really not a roll and move, but you're moving in a direction and you can move up to whatever you want until you get to a village and you have to do, a thing there. But that also costs a breath, which was really cool. But just a straight roll and move where it's like I roll even talisman, right? Like I'm going to roll a 3 and I can go 3 this way and 3 this way. And then you roll again and it's 3 this way and 3. So I can go back to where I just came from, or I can go 3 over here, which is a duplicate of the location I was just at. Like it's not.
Yeah. I've been tempted to play Talisman where you can go up to the amount that you roll. But you know how I am on house rules. I very rarely do it.
House rules are your kryptonite.
Yeah, you know what? I've examined that more recently, and I'm a little hypocritical, or hypocrite. I am a little bit of a hypocrite in that that I always, no matter what. Oh, there you go. See.
Mm-hmm.
I always, no matter what, ignore whatever the rule book says as first player and make it random. I don't care if it says tallest or, youngest or whatever it is. Forget that. I always play with, well, not always and anymore, but for years and years, I played with the same people, and that would create the same type of game feel every single time if I did that. So it's stupid, and I will never do that.
Right.
So,
that makes sense. That's a great reason to take that rule out.
Yeah. And what's funny is in asking for troubles, to make fun of it, I put the person who last went to space goes first. And if that's not the case, then do it randomly.
Yeah, but if you have a friend that's an astronaut, they're always
yeah. Someone brought that up, and I said, yeah, they deserve to go first. Or don't do it, Use my own rule breaking against me. But so knowing that, yeah, okay, I can. House rules make some sense to some degree, and I should try Talisman with the stopping along the way. I mean, it's still a huge random fest, but it's a fun random fest if you're just ready for that. But
you should try and get your hands on the. I'm curious. I might have asked Lance this. The Talisman Star Wars. I'm curious your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, that would be interesting to try. Was that? Did that come out in the U.S.? Is it only Europe?
As far as I know, it's Europe.
And it's only going to be Europe? Or
it's that whole Star Wars license thing. There's only so many of them that have the license in North America.
You were just pointing. Do you have it?
Yeah, it's right here.
So there's a game that you could tempt me with to go to Syracuse, is what you're saying.
I mean, yeah. If Star Wars Talisman will get you to come to Syracuse, then yeah, I'll get you a copy of Star Wars.
I'm just joking with you, sort of.
I made the deal with Lance last time. We can make the deal this time.
It's weird to see
change of subject.
The word. Yeah, I'm going back to the subject. The one down there. It's weird to see someone say this mechanism's making a comeback, because as much as I play new games, I still play old games sometimes, and to me, it doesn't feel like it's. I guess I'm not paying enough attention to what things aren't being made anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they're still roll and move games. They're just not liked, so they're not put out there and stuff, right? Like I don't have them on my shelf because no one likes them, so I don't hear about it and all that stuff. I assume they're still roll and move, but I guess by comeback you mean it's coming back in a different way and more acceptable or more liked with the twist that it has.
Yeah, I think that like if someone wanted to make a game in today's culture that was roll a d6, move up to that amount of space, and get the resources from that, like it's just not going to fly, right? That's like saying the mechanism of lose a turn. That's going to be all the rage next year in all the games. No, lose a turn in games sucks, right? So roll and move the way roll and move is not good.
I would even argue that, like, I don't know if you can make lose a turn better. Like, if they said lose a turn, but you come back with more stuff than you could have in an actual turn, that's still worse. That's, I mean, it's still not as good. It's
That's
still
like Lost in Time and Space and Arkham Horror, right? You lose a turn, but you can come back anywhere you want in Arkham. Great. That could get you out of the newspaper because there's 17 monsters hanging out in the streets outside of it, and you can't leave. But that's not better.
Oh, Peter says there's a way to fix anything where Doom fixes lose a turn. I played Weird Doom a few times. You would think I'd play it more times than that, but being from Breaking Games, I can't remember what the lose a turn thing is, though. It's actually good to lose a turn, I think, in that game, because taking your turn makes you do stuff or something. And that's fine. I mean, that's all right, I'll give you that. That's if you can build a game around trying not to go, you know, like every move you take is actually bad for you, so you want to take as few steps. It would have to be, as We're Doomed is, kind of like a group constantly talking engaged thing, because if it's like Talisman where you got to wait 15-20 minutes for your turn to come back around,
Right.
maybe longer if you're playing with 6 players, right?
Right.
If it's like that, then that sucks. And if it's like Arkham Horror, I can wait like 30 minutes before it comes back around to me, and I go, lost in time and space, keep going.
You should not be waiting 30 minutes between turns.
Yeah, you haven't played Arkham Horror with people who aren't used to playing Arkham Horror, I guess. I don't know.
Gotta get a good teacher. Turn should not take 30 minutes. That's bonkers.
I don't mean one person's turn is 30 minutes. I mean like 5 other people together. Is like
Sure. So what did Peter say? I think I meant Weird Doom solves player elimination. Oh, it takes 15 minutes tops. Uses a player elimination to cause a pressure that is satisfying, and you can come back.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, player elimination is fine in short games. Weird Doomed is a short. It's in fact it's exactly 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
In that components episode, I showed the cool timer that's on there.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I believe someone could take a roll in. Well, I think that's what you're talking about with GT, right? It's Rallyman GT is that you think they've done the twist by making it move and roll.
Move and roll, right? Which Bobby said. Like it's still you're still, but so either way, if you crash or you don't crash in that game, you still end up where you want. Yeah, cause Love Letter is. I mean, if you're playing it correctly, right? It's like a 5-10 minute game. Or if I sit here and watch you guys argue, great.
I'd even say King of Tokyo. That's fine.
Yeah, funny you brought that up. That's one of the things that came up in the classroom with a couple of students that were learning like games for the first time. They started playing King of Tokyo because that's a good entry level kind of game for them to wrap their head around. And then they learned the game and played the game, and then you revisit the table, and it was like, well, what are you doing? She goes, well, we didn't like that players got eliminated, so we fixed it. What? So like they knew without even knowing like stuff. They were like, yeah. So if you get eliminated, you get to roll, and if you roll a heart, you're back in. You get 3 life, and you're back in for a turn. Like so. Okay, they broke the game, and they extended the game, which they don't need to do. But the fact that they were creative enough to figure out, yeah, player elimination sucks. And while 5 of us are playing, 4 of us are playing, one person has to sit out until I punch you in the face, you concede, I go in, you punch me in the face, I concede, you, and then the other person just sitting there.
So you did punish them accordingly for house rolling, right?
No, they got a spin at the wheel for being creative.
What?
Absolutely.
But okay, did you at least tell them? Did you at least tell them that by making that choice, you have now made certain cards in there worth less? You've broken certain things. You've made things go longer.
Yep.
Like they should at least be aware that when you house roll a game, even unknowingly, even designers of other games and stuff could end up doing this. You could mess up stuff that you're not even aware are like purposely put together.
Mm-hmm. No, that was part of the conversation. Like the game is now broken by bringing people back in. They knew that the cards would be unbalanced, but the fact that they were creative enough to know, yeah, player elimination sucks. Like, okay, yeah, you're right. So make something that doesn't have that, right?
Right, and that's fine. But yeah, I'm just going back to being a hypocrite about the
Rule changing. Sure.
Yeah, about house rules is willy-nilly. I fixed it kind of thing is really breaking more stuff than you realize. But.
Mm-hmm. But I think Peter's right, and I think that's the point. Is there's a way to do it other than roll the die, move that many, suffer wherever you land, and you have there's nothing you can do about it, which sucks. Player elimination, there's nothing you can do about it. That sucks. Runaway leaders or king making, okay, they suck too. Hopefully you balance the game out enough where it doesn't come down. I'm going to lose, but I'm going to screw you over just because. All right, fine. Right, part of the game, great. Player elimination, a short game, fine. But I like the way that they did this idea of what Bobby said was move and roll, right? You're going to plan out your movement, and regardless of if you crash or not, your car will end up where you place the dice, and it's dice allocation too, because if you're in third gear, you don't have access to first gear, second gear dice because you're going too fast. So you don't have enough in your dice pool maybe to figure out how to navigate. Like I came to a turn, I didn't have enough dice because I was going too fast to take that turn. So it really slowed me down because I didn't plan ahead the turn prior. So you'll end up where you want to move, and then you roll the dice and suffer the consequences if you end up rolling too many exclamation points. So it is really a move, then roll. And technically, I mean, you can move and then you roll the die, and you move and you roll the die. But yeah.
So is that roll and move with a twist, or is that just a different mechanism?
I think it's a roll and move with a twist.
But the whole thing about roll and move is you don't get to decide where you go, whereas this is you do, right?
You'll end up there, but you don't know the consequences until you roll.
Right.
Because you could crash. Like I can end up in that space that my car is at right now. Like I move my car to here. I have to roll all the dice to get there. I could roll 3 exclamation points and crash. And then what happens when you crash is you're moved off the track and you take a turn coming back onto the track.
Right. So if in Talisman I said, all right, let's play it this way. You can go as far as you want between 1 and 6 spaces in either direction. But then you have to roll the die and pay that much gold. Did I just take roll and move out of the game? Or did I put a little twist on roll and move? Feels like I took roll and move out of the game.
Yeah, it's not roll and move at that point.
Well, that's what I just described, or what you just described in there. You decide where you want to go and then pay the consequences afterwards.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we know Lance is a hardcore gamer, if you burn, you burn kind of thing.
Yep,
And
yep.
definitely, if you watch his series where he talks about being a GM and playing games and stuff. I mean, I am surprised that, like he's described it before about, people just die in D&D and then you make a new character. And to me, that's like crazy, because I play one character all the way to level 20.
Right.
So
And that's a different mindset too, right? I mean, if you're playing a player elimination game and your game is a 2-hour game and I'm eliminated and I got to sit there and watch you guys have fun and do all the cool things that I came over for an hour and a half.
right. Yeah, I mean, that's why you are in the show, apparently.
Yeah. We wanted to keep it under 2 hours.
Well, we're not going to do that. But
No, we're not going to do that at all.
we're almost to that limit, aren't we? No, we're not. Yeah, we're almost to 2 hours.
Yeah.
But anyway, the chat's taking over now.
Lance is fuming, he said. Good. I love it.
That's funny.
The roll and move sucks. Player elimination sucks. What else can we do? Let's light the fire.
Oh yeah, how can we mess with Lance? No.
No.
I'll have to pay for it on Wednesday when I'm on his show.
Oh, please roast Chris on your show Wednesday. That would be fantastic.
They already put me in the box. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw last week's show, but they take a person, or Lance will take a person and make them mute themselves so that they can't hear, or deaf themselves, I guess, so that they can't hear the other people. And then he tells the rest of the group what 10 questions he's going to ask you. And everybody has to guess how many you're going to get right. And then you come back and you have to, and I didn't realize this because it's the first time I've ever done it, but you suddenly feel this pressure that people are like, I think you're going to get 6 right. And I'm like, oh man, now I feel like I really need to get 6 right. I didn't realize there'd be all that pressure. It was pretty good. I did pretty good. I did 5 out of 10.
Ooh.
I should have done 6 out of 10, but I had forgotten about honey or whatever it was. Not bad. I mean, they're just totally random questions. I think only one of them was a sports question. So I like, before we even started, I was like, if it's sports, don't even count it, because I'm not going to get that. But
that's fun. That's fun.
It is.
So initially, my roll and move coming back comment. We had talked before the show, like LCGs seemed to take a dive, right? And then Champions came back. Like Lord of the Rings was popular, and all of these LCGs were there. And then, like, that's that wheel, right? Rolling rights, flipping rights, whatever. Like they're going to be hot, and then they're not going to be hot because something else is going to come back, and then they'll come back in, right? I don't know if roll and move, the way it is yeah, I should come on the show. I don't think the way that it is, with so many different options to designers today, if just a straight roll and move or player elimination is ever the right thing to do. Lose a turn is no fun. And if you want to have a fun experience at the table with people, then someone's got to figure out how to make that better. And if Weird Doom does that, awesome. That's fantastic.
So, like my brother says he doesn't, or at least he's said in the past, I don't know if he's changed recently, but he said that he didn't mind the Lost in Time and Space and Arkham Horror and stuff, because to him that's part of the story. And and there is a audience, and sometimes I'm even in that, where it doesn't matter if you win or lose or die horribly and stuff. You just want a good story to experience, right?
Sure.
And so some people experience games like that, where I played a game and I didn't get to do much, but there was a reason for it, and it was, it was fun and all that stuff. But I think that audience has been shrinking more and more and more, and I don't think it's anything other than there are games that are giving them experiences that are actually better than sitting on your hands for 2 or 3 turns while trying to think in your head, yeah, this is great because it goes with the story. Like, you can still go with the story and play the game, not miss turns and stuff like that. Yeah. See, my brother at one point agreed with you. I don't know if he still would.
But same thing with being delayed, right? When you're in the other worlds and you have an encounter and you're delayed, you fall over, and then next turn you stand up, but you have an encounter there. You don't lose a turn, right? When your character is devoured, yeah, put a whole bunch of shit and time into this character. I have so many cool things. My character is devoured. I'm dead. But next turn, I have a new character, so I'm not eliminated from the game. Whether the game takes an hour or these ridiculous 6-hour counts for Arkham Horror.
Right. It's not player elimination, but like missing turns, that's never fun.
Yep.
Well, I won't say never because, like I said, there are some people that are perfectly accepting
Sure.
of it.
But like you said about where if they can do it differently, where they make it maybe, beneficial to lose a turn, right? Or to not play, like you said, with Exploding Kittens, then that's great.
This is a good point, and he might be right. I might agree with him here. The audience isn't shrinking; it's just growing, but the initial size of the original audience is probably staying the same, while more people who are expecting different experiences are appearing. I would agree with that because a lot of, but I used to like if you talked to me 5 years ago, I'd be arguing with Lance here that no, that was great. It goes with the story and stuff. So I have changed. So I'm sure some of that audience have shrunk a little bit because I was part of that audience. It shrunk by 1%.
1%. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, and that doesn't mean that games shouldn't have those things ever, because like Lance says, there are still people that enjoy those things, but you should know that audience is a great deal smaller now. I don't know how many games are really going to have roll-in moves and, missing turns and player eliminations on long games and stuff like that anymore.
Maybe not long games, but to Lance's point, the fan base for the hobby is growing. And if people are playing King of Tokyo, then King of Tokyo is a great example of a short game where the objective is to be the last one standing or to get to 20 token or 20 points first. So sure, you're eliminated. Great. We're going to play again because this game should only take 15 minutes. You're not going to be sitting there, catch up on your emails, catch up on your text messages, call your mom, do whatever you're doing for the next 10 minutes while they slug it out with, rolling dice. But you're not sitting there going, like, I got to watch you do this for the next hour. Like, this just, I'm going to go out of my mind.
Cuddy has a good point. We tend to get like, not clicks, but kind of in our own little towers of this is how games should be kind of thing, because it's the way we like them and stuff. And yeah, there's always entry point people. There's old school gamers like Lance. There's so many different people that I do hope that games that other people want to play always get played. Even if I don't want to play them, someone else should. So I still can't wrap my head around the idea of someone liking missing turns anymore. But even the biggest problem I have with those games continuing or whatever it is when you get a person who likes that kind of thing and they get a new gamer to the table, someone who hasn't experienced many games or any games and stuff, and that's what they show them, and that person sits there. They thought they'd be there for like an hour and a half, and they were there for 5 hours, and because they weren't told it was going to be a 5-hour game, and they didn't get to do anything for 2.5 hours of it, and they got player eliminated, all that stuff. Like, it's fine if that person knows that's the kind of thing they're walking into, but I've seen so many times where they don't know that.
Right.
Or where they're told, hey, we're going to have a game and this is the stuff that's going to happen. And they go, oh, no, and walk away thinking that's how all games are like. It's obviously not entry level friendly to do something like that. And there may be some people that walk into it and go, yeah, this is my jam. Great. But again, that audience is small. It doesn't help grow the audience. So
that's what kept me out of the hobby for probably another 2 years. Like I could have been in it 2 years prior, but when my neighbor was trying to get me to play, they kept approaching me with like this game about this cult and these great old ones that are trying to take over the planet. I'm like, what in the hell are you even talking about? And they were like, yeah, like we usually, we'll get some food and whatever. It'll take a couple hours. Couple hours? What? No, I'm not doing this.
But that was your entry game, you said,
It was.
eventually, right?
I literally, they were my next door neighbor. I like just walk right next door. So one day I was just like, yeah, fuck it. I don't have anything else to do. Like, I'll come play. Brought over like a 12-pack of Twisted Tea. And I was like, all right, you know what? If I get sacrificed because I'm the human sacrifice for the evening, this is my time. That's great. This is how I go out. And then it was great. I mean, it was a super overwhelming entry because there was so much going on, but it's not super complicated, right? You're going to roll some dice. You're going to succeed or you're going to fail miserably. Most of the time you fail miserably. And then you kind of get behind this character and this awesome story came out of it. And I was like, that was awesome. Can we do this again tomorrow? Like, it was such an experience.
And that's a good example of someone being brought into the hobby through a game that isn't normally an entry-level game, right?
Right.
You were hooked,
it had
you were hooked
3.5
by the same
hours.
way.
Yep.
Yeah. You were hooked by that type of game, which is awesome. Like I said, in fact, I've been playing games all my life. So the games that I started off in were like Talisman and, random D&D things. And, just sometimes my brother, who's 7 years older than me, would just make a game on paper and pen and then we'd just play it and stuff. So, just random stuff like that is what I grew up on. So I totally understand the enjoyment of it. But my tastes have changed slightly over the years.
Sure, yeah. Well, look at what's around us now, right?
Yeah.
There was, other than Scrabble and Trivial Pursuit, there were 3 games that from my childhood that I played rather consistently. It was Monopoly, Clue, and Fireball Island. And all 3 of them were roll and move. Monopoly's roll and move.
Yeah.
Clue is roll and move. Fireball Island is roll and move. At least Fireball Island brought in like the cards and the talismans that protected you, and you got to push this little marble and I'm going to knock you off the bridge. You suck. Give me the gem. Like, at least it added like this other, like the 3D nature of the board. It was such a different experience. But all 3 of them from my childhood were roll and move, and that's why I friggin' hate roll and move so much.
Peter was talking about Clue. Right there's roll and move, that they changed it.
They changed it.
Yeah, he said, I didn't know that they changed it.
It's not fun. How did they change it?
I don't know.
Wow. I didn't know they changed it at all. I know Monopoly is played wrong by 99% of humans that play it.
I still like free parking being a thing where you get the money that's in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know how that's not a thing. Is that a house rule?
Yeah.
Oh.
The real rules is it's nothing. Miss a turn.
Huh.
Not really miss a turn because you did move, but nothing happens in free parking.
You roll 2 dice now, and when you get 1s, you draw power cards. What?
That's interesting.
Huh.
At least more interesting than rolling move.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I don't know if so much things are making a comeback as if they're being refined for the bigger audience.
Right.
That's how I would say. And, if move and roll is the next roll and move, that sounds a lot more like I'd try it. That sounds interesting. Yeah. I might not like it in the end, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But I would at least try it.
It was a different feeling.
Yeah. Very cool. And which one was that? Rallyman GT?
Correct.
Cool. Well, I guess I know what we've been playing, at least on your side.
One of the many that I played recently. I actually had a pretty good week of gaming.
I know one that you played because you played with me virtually. Anyway.
What did we play?
We played Flamecraft.
Oh, right. Yeah. That was this past week. I thought it was the week before. Yeah.
No. Yeah, that was May 20th.
That's
I got my little app where I record everything.
yeah, super fun. Super fun. Art's stellar. I'm not just saying it because Peter's watching. The art was great.
Let's bring Peter back.
Yeah, it was such a great. It's going to be a really good one.
Yeah, and the little gripe that I had at the end of it, because it was my second play, was that they took something out and Peter said they might have put it back in now. So now I'm all happy again.
Yeah, which is shocking because you never have anything bad to say about games.
No, I never. I'm always positive.
Yeah.
Actually, the first time I played it, I had zero. I was like, I would back this right now. And now that you said that they probably put it back somehow or whatever like that, again, instant back.
It's definitely valid. I think that one little point of if you're there and I go there, you get the one thing of there like that.
Yeah, we should say that we played a fluxing they're still developing, changing stuff, and also that's why we're kind of being vague on what we don't want to promise something has in the game. It's not, but
we will do. I'm sure at some point we will do a play of it and broadcast it because
as soon as Peter is like, let's let people see what this is about and stuff.
Wow, you just threw the ball right in Peter's court.
It's all. I mean, it is his game. So
yeah.
Well, it's his game to develop. Manny Vega is the designer, right? But yeah, again, I had a lot of fun playing that game.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
What do you think about? Oh, I can't say that. All right.
Discord
Discord conversation afterwards. Yeah, because I don't want to say it out in public.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll discuss more about that game. I guess with Peter's permission later. Mm-hmm. We also. Oh, you didn't play that game. That's right. I tried to get you to play the game, but I played Arnak, Lost Ruins of Arnak with Peter again. Yep. Spent a lot of time with Peter. And Corey. Corey schooled us
this weekend.
What was that?
We each had our gaming partners this weekend. You spent a lot of time with Peter, and that's good. You should.
Corey schooled us in Arnak. Fun game. I haven't played it in a few months, but it was good.
I heard.
I played again already.
Well, next one, count me. I had already had plans. I was actually in a game. I think that rereading what I had sent you was really short, and I didn't mean it to be short. I was just already doing something.
Yeah, I was like, hey, do you want to jump into the game? And you're like, maybe later. I was like, not the answer I need. Nope. That's a no.
And then your next thing, I was even more short in the next question. I was like, yeah, I didn't mean to be short on that one.
It's fine. It felt like you were occupied, and that's cool. It happens. I actually have a like on my watch, I can give quick, short answers to stuff.
Nice.
Now, so yeah, I figured you were just doing something like that if you didn't have something.
Yeah, I didn't think I think the phone lit up and it was you, and I was like, ugh.
Oh yeah, Kati played with us too.
Yep.
So
Katsia win?
Did you? Yeah. I remember you screaming revenge.
Yep.
You weren't happy. No, did she? Let me see. Yeah, I didn't win. That's the only thing I mark is if I win or if Perfect. Aaron wins. But yeah.
Perfect.
I don't mark if anybody else wins. I'm not keeping up with other people's stats.
No, you want your own stats. I get it.
Yeah. But those are the only two games I played, I believe. Yeah, months. Zool was last week. So
cool.
What have you been playing? Other than Rallyman, I guess.
Yeah, Rallyman was one. I played multiple games of one of the other. I thought you did win.
Oh, I did win that one, didn't I? That's right, because I was saying I won both games that I played. Well, then I need to update.
Yeah, you need to. I thought. Yeah, I got that
right. I did. I remember that now.
In my head, it went differently.
Oh no, I just had Arnak clicked. Yeah, I haven't marked where I went. I'm sure our viewers really care.
Yeah. Well, clearly. Wow, I thought it went the other way. All right. Yeah, so one of my next things I think was about digital the digital
Right,
state.
and both of those games were digital, yeah.
Right. So I played a game of Sagrada base digitally. I played 2 games of Sagrada 5-6 digitally, and it reassured me I never want to play Sagrada base without the wheel. This is something that Daryl has said years ago. Once he played with the wheel, he never wanted to play the base game again, and it reassured me this weekend. I just want to play with
the wheels in a expansion?
Yeah, so the first expansion for the game is called the 5-6 player expansion.
Yeah.
And it's kind of misnamed because it doesn't only give you stuff for 5 to 6 players. It gives you enough dice. It gives you 2 new color boards, yellow and orange. But there's 2 things in it that completely change the game. In addition to life and passion changing the game for their own things, the 5-6 player has a private wheel and a different type of private objective. So in the base game, it's a color, right? You're really good at making blue, or you're really good at making yellow, and you get points based on the pips of that color. But if I pick up on the fact that you just drafted 2 6 yellows in a row, I'm going to start guessing that you're the yellow player and now hate draft the next time a 5 or 6 comes because those are part of your points. Like if I can place that 6 yellow, I'm pretty confident that you're the yellow player. I'm not just going to hand you 6 points.
How does that change from the initial game, though? Because you could do that anyway, right?
That is the initial game. In the expansion...
Oh, okay. I thought you were describing... Okay, go ahead.
That's the base game. In the expansion, they're patterns. So instead of it being a color, it's highlighted squares on your window, and you get the pips that are in those highlighted squares.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you can mix them. You can have the colors and the patterns together. You can just play with the patterns, just play with the colors. The patterns are wonderful. Even better is the private wheel. The private wheel gives you 10 dice, 2 of each color, randomly rolled at the start of the game. So immediately, 10 of the 20 dice that have to go into your window by the end of the game.
Oh, wow. They have to go into your window?
They have to go into your window at the end of the game. There's no... They're rolled, they're random, there's 2 of each color, but before your first turn, you now have 10 dice that have to fit into your window.
Wow.
And on your turn, you're drafting 2 dice, 1 from the public pool and 1 from the private pool, in either order.
You said you played this digitally on what platform?
Tabletopia, but it's not available for everybody.
Well, thanks for describing how awesome it is.
If anyone would like to play it, just reach out to me on Discord, and I can either put you in contact with someone who has the link to play it, or I can teach it to you myself.
Our Discord channel is in the description.
There you go. So yeah, the private. So in addition to that, it speeds up the game because there's no snake draft in the 5-6. You take 2 dice on your turn. You take 1 from the center pool, 1 from your private pool. The center pool is now 1 per player, plus 1 instead of 2 per player. And you can take them in either order, but now there's no... In a 6-player game, you don't have to... If you're player 1, you take your turn. Now you got to wait for player 2 to go through their AP. Then you got to wait for player 3. Maybe player 4 knows what they want. Then player 6 is going to take 2 in a row. Then back to player 5. And by the time it's your turn, you're like... So... That fixed the problem, and it made the puzzle so much deeper.
I skipped that expansion because I thought it was just a 5 or 6 player expansion.
Correct. It's got new wheels. It's got a couple new tools.
Interesting. I got to get that then.
It's great. Just for the wheel. I mean, it's fantastic.
I mean, do I need a wheel? Now that you told me how to play it, I could just put 10 off to the side, right?
Correct. But then you don't get private patterns and you don't get the extra tools that come with it. But yeah.
Good point.
I would recommend that. It's just 10 dice, 2 of each color. Roll them, and those 10 have to go into your wheel. And on your turn, you're just picking 1 from one, 1 from the other.
I would also not recommend just making your own version of games that exist already. Pay your publishers. Mm-hmm. They deserve it.
Yeah. Plus, it's pretty.
Well, that sounds... So you played a lot of Sagrada.
Yeah. Yep. 2 of the 5-6, 1 of the base. Played 2 games of Holy.
Nice.
Digitally.
Digitally. Is
Yeah,
that also not available to people?
correct.
Are these going to eventually be available to people?
Maybe.
You don't know.
The only Floodgate title that is Bosk. Um, a fan made it. It's on TTS, not Tabletopia. It's a really good version of it. But that's the only one that's available currently from Floodgate that you can just go and play.
Why even the large one? Um, why? Why? Well, you may not be, qualified to answer, but why are they not put publicly for Floodgate?
Yeah, the main reason is, in my perspective, is so people don't have a bad experience and then end up not liking the game. Whether or not it's user error or the internet causing a problem or Tabletopia, like even over the weekend, the dice would go through the cards would go through the boards. Holy, all of a sudden the card was missing on my screen. It was hovering. So just to mitigate the bad experiences.
Yeah, I fought against Troubles being virtual for a long time. A fan put it up on TTS years ago, the original version. Um, Asked me for the art files to do so, and I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." But afterwards, I was like, it probably shouldn't have been out there because part of the whole experience of the game is the quick turns,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, virtually you don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost doubles the time of people taking turns and stuff. By the time it gets around to you, you're like, oh, finally it's my turn. Oh, I just do this one thing. And then you're like, this game takes too long. But when you play a game that just fires like this real fast in real life, you're like, oh, okay, this is, I don't even have time to check my phone. It's my turn again. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Um, and you miss out so much. It turns the experience kind of soured
Yep.
whenever it gets slowed down by virtually. I did eventually put it in Tabletopia so that people can try it for the Kickstarter.
Yep.
I think that's public. Should be.
Yeah, we were playing it. There's also a Discord for that, and we were playing it when the Kickstarter was going.
Right. So, yeah, I think, and if you know the game well enough, especially in Tabletopia, and you know the stuff, it could still go pretty fast. And I was happy with how it ended up.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it's not quite the same feel. I don't know if any game is ever quite the same feel. We played Vivid Memories
Yep.
on there, and I said that I think I would do much better in real life,
Sure.
just because of the virtual feel of such a visual game.
Yep.
I want to see the middle part and my board together instead of having to scroll over to different. So some games work for it, some games don't. So I could always see that as being a reason not to have a game virtually. But
yeah, same thing with Holy, right? And Holy, the table presence of Holy that Julio created, and Ben with the development, coming off the table, having those 3 layers, like it just pops off the table. And in Tabletopia, it's 3 flat pieces like on the table, so it doesn't have that experience that you get from playing it in person. But you still get the itch, you still get to play the pieces around, you still try and figure out the pattern in the puzzle and rotate your cards, and all of that still exists. It is a different feeling.
Yeah.
But what we don't want is somebody to play it and think that that's it, think that it takes too long, have too many questions with the rules, right? Not play it correctly and then play it somewhere else or teach it somewhere else, be told that they were playing it wrong. So we everybody that has access to the links or can play it, knows how to play it, has played it for us, with us.
I mean, it's one thing if the system itself, like you said, cards going through tables and stuff like that, if that's broken, that makes sense. But if it's what I decided for Troubles in the end is that people have to go, okay, this people who are playing virtually kind of get it by now that there are certain things to give allowances for. Like nobody playing Sagrada watches the card go through the table and go, oh, this game sucks, because they know that's not going to happen in real life, right? Unless they get a really weird table.
It's such a good point, and I really think some of us should get together and do what Peter was saying, like film a live action game with all the bullshit that happens digitally.
Oh yeah, but do it as if we're together.
Oh, it'd be great. Like you have to get 5 resources from the center, and you get like one at a time, but like you can't grab one. One goes shooting off the table. Yeah. It would be great. It'd be so much fun to do, and I think we'd have a really fun time making it. But yes, I agree with you. However, there have been multiple times on the Floodgate Discord where people will comment on something that is not game related, that something is specifically, it's a problem with Tabletopia. Like, I get it, but that's not.
They might just be telling you that so that you can fix it, though. They're probably not blaming the game, right?
The way it would come across was that it was a malfunction with the game. And your response is what? Like, that's a Tabletopia issue. Like, you should tell them. Like, we're not responsible for Tabletopia's glitchiness.
Well, I mean, a lot of players don't know who is responsible for what being made. You know, every platform's different. So.
But if that person's going to
publisher handles it differently too. I mean, some publishers make it themselves. Some people hire people to do it. Sometimes the company itself does it for you if it's big enough, right?
Yep. But we don't want that to happen, and then someone's like, Sagrada is a piece of shit because of this. Well, it's not because of that. Like,
man, when you put the dice down, they just float up.
Yeah, why do the cards just go?
I'd buy that game twice if that was the case.
Seriously, yeah, magic.
It's a magic game? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you'll catch more flies with it. That's not how that works. That's not the saying. But it's kind of the same idea.
Down in Texas, you catch flies with honey. I don't know if anyone watching the show knows this, but that's
you can catch flies with honey no matter where you are if you leave it out enough, I guess. Maybe. Probably not. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, now I'm derailed. The whole thing I was trying to say, besides messing it up with stupid slogans or mottos, is that I think for the most part you'll have a few outliers of people that don't understand that's Tabletopia's issue and stuff like that. But I think most virtual gamers, especially after the year we had will always make allowance for that stuff.
Sure.
I mean, just like I said, when I played Vivid, I was like, I wasn't crazy about the experience that I was having visually, but I know in real life this is going to be amazing. And I actually still really enjoyed the game itself. It was just having to move back and forth and not being able to compare them in one shot and all that stuff,
I'm curious what the correlation is between, and I used correlation, between people that play a game like Vivid and are like, I want this because I know it's going to be better on my table. And the number of people that play it and are like, like, because one of the other games I played digitally over the weekend was the game Coatl. Coatl? I don't know how it's.
I think it's Coatl. I've never played it.
This one.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but I've seen it.
It's excellent. But the Tabletopia version has the pieces as tiles. You draw from a bag. It's a tile that represents the piece of the dragon that you're I don't know, building, right? How you're building the dragon. But as you can hear, that's not cardboard tiles, right? This is the piece of the tail. Why don't I pick a color that really doesn't show up on the camera, you jackass? So here's the head.
That's worse. That's just white.
All right. How about green? Does green show up nice on camera?
Oh, green's nice, yeah.
Right, but as you can tell, why don't I do it over here? Can you see it over here? It's great, isn't it? It's such a good-looking piece.
Wait. Now do it.
Even better. I just got to hold it in front of my face so you can see it now. So I still can't do it. So you can tell this is not a... Why do I drift off to the left?
I don't know.
you can tell this is not a 3D piece of cardboard, right? It's a 3D piece, but in the Tabletopia version, it's just a chit, right? It's just a cardboard piece. So somebody playing that game might be like, yeah, it was fun, but like the presence of this game is completely different because the tactile nature of touching the pieces instead.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that, and also if your game, if part of the attraction of your game is the pieces, then you should put those pieces in your virtual game.
Sure.
Yeah, at least we're being entertaining.
This wasn't even a heavy pour tonight either.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to play, I know you don't like Azul, but if I were to play Azul and it was just punch boards, it would be a lesser game.
But what if you played Azul? And I guess this is kind of my point for the topic of like the staying power of digital. Now that things are kind of opening, one of the things I wanted to talk about was now that things are opening up, what's the staying power of playing a game on Tabletopia rather than bringing it or getting it or maybe experiencing it and then bringing it to game night? Like, am I going to visit Coatl on Tabletopia again? And does that experience with it being cardboard or making it look like it's cardboard tokens deter me from wanting to actually physically get a copy? So I guess there's two different points of that. The staying power of digital, and does digital represent the game enough to players to want to get a copy rather than, I don't want to get it because of this reason, or it didn't really hit. Like if you're playing Holy, right, and you think the game is just these 3 flat boards, rather than looking at the beautiful production that Game Trays did, that Ben did with the game itself. Totally different experience playing it this way with the tiers than it is just having it spread out. Like, what does that do to potential buyers, to players? Are you going to want to, like, how is that going to all evolve? I guess it's rhetorical.
So Peter brings up a good, I guess, a good concern that publishers have. We all know that when we make a game, everyone who buys it isn't going to like it.
Sure.
Right? That's just the case no matter how good the game is. There's always going to be someone who bought it and was like, not my cup of tea. Because as gamers, a lot of us just go, that looks cool, cart kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Not everybody does. Some people are smarter with their money than I am. But I will sometimes just go, oh, I need $100 on this site to get free shipping. That looks cool. That looks cool. Yeah, that kind of thing. And
yeah,
then
you get pre-orders that hold up your whole damn order.
Yeah, I know. I'm still waiting. It's like 6 months. It's crazy. They need to make Furnace. I don't know what to tell you. They shouldn't put up a pre-order that's like 6 months out. Maybe they didn't know. But anyway,
I'm sure they knew.
Digress.
They did it totally on purpose.
But anyway, so I think maybe the fear there is that you won't get the purchases from the people who don't end up liking your game if they can test it. And then even if they think, okay, this is virtual, I'll make allowances for that, but they might play it and go, oh yeah, it's not my cup of tea, I'd rather not buy it, versus they might have just bought it and then found out it wasn't their cup of tea, right?
Yeah, they'll buy it and give you a 2 rating on BGG because they realize that they don't like deduction games.
Yeah, maybe you'll come out with fewer buys but better ratings, which then might create more buys.
Sure.
You know, you make a good enough game, which Peter talking about his game, Mission Catastrophe, I think is a good enough game to where, because I played it before I backed it. So playing it
before I played it.
There you go. But I think a game like that, some people might play it and go, oh yeah, it's not really for me, and I won't back it or something like that. So the question is, do you risk that kind of thing? You know, do you risk narrowing the audience of people who are going to buy it initially, which is really what you're trying to do, especially on a Kickstarter level, right? I don't know. That's a hard question to answer.
I think before, in pre-COVID times or pre-COVID era, however you want to do it, I think the digital format became a better print and play. It was easy access. You don't have to worry about printing it on your computer. Hey, you want to check out the game before you back it? Go here and we'll show you how to play the game. And then COVID hit and the world shut down and no one could see each other and game nights were done and you're in lockdown for 4 months. And now it became this thing where I mean, we're doing this thing because of being able to connect through this interweb that's getting us together right across the country, different countries, whatever it is. I think initially it became a print and play, a way to make it look pretty, to make people want to like experience your game and be like, okay, same thing with a print and play, right? I'm going to offer you my print and play it to see if you like it and then back it. And now I feel it's the same thing, but I think it's also evolved into something else, which I don't know if it's going to go away.
I mean, the weird thing for me is I'm playing more virtual games now than I was last year. And I have now started going to board game groups. But that's only because I fought against virtual for so long, I think. and because I have Erin here who I could play games with all the time. She's usually more for playing games than even I am. Like, I've been working on games all day. She's like, let's play a game. In fact, she learned a game that we're going to play. Have you played what's it called? Garanto? Yeah, I forgot what I bought, but it showed up. She learned it today, so we're going to play it afterwards, I think. Cool. Garanto? That might be what it's called. Abstract game.
If you keep saying it, eventually it'll sound familiar.
Eventually, yeah. Someone will figure it out, too.
Sure.
Thanks for watching, Katya. Stays up when she's on the channel. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll stick around more than it was before at some level.
Right.
But eventually it might fade away. Maybe not. I think a lot of people have made friends, made friends through doing this stuff. I mean, you and I have. So,
yeah.
You and I are playing games virtually because we haven't met each other in real life.
Right.
Another thing is you and I are designing a game right now, and hopefully this week we will put it virtually up to where we can play it together and test it.
Yep.
So, doing stuff like that, play testing virtually, I know is a really, it really kind of came about last year, right? And that's great. How many times do you get to test play more now because it's virtual, right?
The last game we ran through playtesting in Floodgate was really challenging to get the same group together, the same 4 people together to play throughout like a campaign kind of thing. So I know it's been easier for people to get to playtesting because we have access like this, but getting the same people to play the same game to get feedback based on like things unlocking or whatever, that's a challenge. I mean,
I think that's always the challenge, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's interesting is I have RPG games on Sundays. Every other Sunday, I'm just a player in a Pathfinder game. Mm-hmm. And that game, we would have, right now we have 7 players in a DM, which is a lot. But before we had, I think, 6 players in a DM. And what would happen eventually, pretty much every time, is 1 or 2 people would be missing. Like almost every time. You get 6 players, somebody's got to go to work. Somebody's got to do, every other Sunday kind of thing. But right. Ever since we've been doing it virtually, almost every time it's been 100%. And it doesn't help that the guy lives about an hour away from everybody else. So we all had to drive to his house about an hour away. Right. So when you can just do it from home, even if you're feeling kind of like, I feel kind of sick, you can still do it virtually. You don't have the excuse to not show up.
Mm-hmm.
So on something like campaign game, I could totally see someone going, let's play Gloomhaven every Friday virtually. And that's a lot easier to do, because you're doing it from your house. You just play and then you go about your business.
Sure.
So I think, if anything, I would be more keen to do campaign games virtually than anything else. Just because I could finally get one done.
Right.
I don't think I've ever finished a campaign game. I'm trying to think. and I'm designing one. I should finish one.
Probably should. Well, what about? You haven't played Scythe?
Yeah, I mean I have it, but yeah, I can't get it to the table. Is it virtual?
There's an app. I don't know if the Fenris expansion is part of the app, but there is an app.
Yeah, I mean I have the Steam version of Scythe and I play it every now and then, but they don't have the Fenris on there yet. They did just recently add the new faction expansions.
Nice.
So they still don't have the airships. So hopefully they'll keep adding to it because I'll get them.
You're not missing anything with the airships. The airships are probably the weakest part of the whole thing.
They are weak mechanically. They're cool looking, but they're weak. It was more of an excuse to make cool airships, I think.
Sure, they're nice. Keith painted his up. We put them on the board. They hung out in our home base, and they we didn't use the airships, but we used them on the board just because they look cool. But yeah, like the ability. I mean, I don't know, the ability to move cargo or the ability to move character meeples. Like, all right, it didn't really come in handy.
Corey agrees. Yeah.
Wow. The remote plays for folks that live far away, sure, makes sense. Digital storage of games versus large physical collection. I mean,
I don't know if I'd agree with that one because, yeah, I mean,
I don't have any reference point for that one.
If I play a virtual game that I like Vivid, I backed Vivid, even though I can play it, well, not officially, right? But I can play Vivid virtually. I want the physical copy, you know.
Yeah, and that last part, the PMP alternative from a designer's perspective to be able to pitch a game, right? There are plenty of pitch events that I've done that they're better this way, right?
Hey, I live in an apartment too, but I just crowded with games.
Yes, is inside the wardrobe from Narnia that just expands.
It's a TARDIS in here. It has infinite space. Yeah, the I think virtually, especially with gameplay, like I said, you and I are not gameplay, but PMP. You and I are designing a game, and we're about to get it, you know, virtually to be able to play it and test play it. That's something I haven't done before, and I've designed a game with Derek Funkhauser, who we designed the entire game without ever meeting in person. We did it through Skype because it was before 2020, and we didn't know better.
Yeah, well, Skype didn't exist till what, 7-8 months ago?
Yeah, but Skype sucks. But he had to make his own prototype, and I had to make my own prototype. Mm-hmm. And it was an expensive prototype. It was like $120 for us to get it made. We got all kind. We kind of, you know, I may have gone a little wild in the graphic design and, you know, pieces and stuff like that. But anyway, but so we both got our own stuff. Then we had to play it separately, then talk about our experiences away from each other, because at one point I watched him and his wife play it. And I was like, oh, that's not right. But it wasn't the same thing, right? And I just feel like it'd be so much easier that once it's on the table and we could play it together virtually, that this long distance design thing, it's going to happen more and more, right?
Sure. Yeah, with Batman, when we were doing the Avengers game, it was me playing, taking pictures turn by turn of the cards and the dice and whatever. And then I remember rocking an email with like 4 pictures because that's all it could handle. Send it. This is what the turn order looked like, and this is the next. I still have them on my phone of like hundreds of pictures of like what happened when Cap threw his shield or the Hulk had a roll to smash a building. Like, and then we'd get on the phone and he would talk about his experience. I'd talk about how it wasn't balanced on mine. He'd be like, "Yeah, but this." And I remember having our buildings, like I did these shitty folded index cards for the buildings, like. But now it's sure I'm going to put it into Tabletopia and we'd be able to meet like this and talk about, yeah, that didn't work. Change it right now. Let's do this. Let's upgrade the board. Like it's all just quicker
Yeah.
and easier.
Now, it still won't beat personal, because I can't tell you how many times I've walked into the next room and said, I have a board game idea, or Aaron's done the same thing. And we'll just take a bunch of paper. In fact, this is what we did with Troubles. We bounced some ideas around. I put a piece of paper on the ground on the table. I drew a circle because I like circles. Just started crazy. And then the drawings that I was making, we just like, we'll grab some figures and we just started playing right there. That's so much more, that's going to beat a virtual experience. But this is the next best thing, to be able to put stuff on, Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator or whatever it is.
Well, when you got one designer living in Texas, the other one's living in New York. Although Peter said New Jersey earlier, Peter, it's New York, not New Jersey. Yeah, I mean, why would you not do this, right? We're not in the age of like, let me put a prototype together and I'm going to mail it to you, right? Or here's the print and play, print it up and see what you like. Go on, you can get it. And to Corey's point too, like the ability to, it's like Spotify, right? $10 a month to pay for Spotify, and you have all that music at your just CDs. You don't need, it's all digital, right? Save all that room. Thank you.
That is better.
It is.
I haven't been to either one, but I'm pretty sure that's better.
It is.
Yeah, and like what's Corey saying, like if you want to demo to a publisher now, at first you would just send sell sheets and here's my thing. I hope they play it. And now maybe you might meet them at a convention and get to show it to them. That would have been best, right? But now you can make videos of it. You can go, hey, come here and we'll meet virtually. You'll play it. Yeah, it's got to be a lot better. It'll only lead to better games, right?
Yeah. I don't even want to look at a sell sheet. Now I got to read.
Want to look at one?
The sell sheet doesn't really. I mean, a good sell sheet, right, will give you what you need to know about the game. But man, you throw up a 5-minute how-to or a 3-minute setup about turn order. Like, I'd rather watch that than read your sell sheet.
Well, I guess it depends on how picky. Like, if you are, let's say, like Jamie Segmeyer's looking for very specific stuff. Have you ever looked through his like sign up to send in or make an appointment to? So he has a questionnaire that you have to fill out, and if you don't fill out that questionnaire to a certain degree, they'll just go no thanks, like automatically. Like they'll say, does it play 2 to 6 players? 2 to 5 players? Does it play, does it have rounds and phases and stuff? Then no, we don't want, like he knows exactly what he's looking for.
Right.
And if you can get past that level of questioning, then you can get to the next step of sending it in and all that stuff, which I think is brilliant. Saves everybody a lot of time and trouble, right?
Sure.
But some publishers go, oh, you have a good game? Let me see.
Sure.
So in that case, I might need a sell sheet because I still kind of, it might be a game about something that I'm totally tired of seeing, oh, it's my 600th zombie game proposal. I want to see the sell sheet first. Maybe it doesn't even have to be a sell sheet, but it could be, how many times can I say this before I mess it up? Sell sheet by the seashore. But I have to have something. Maybe even the thumbnail of the video needs to tell me it's a 2 to 6 player, or it's a cooperative versus competitive, or whatever it is.
Well, I mean, basically, it's a game box, right? Like, side of the box will have your players, your age, and your play count. The back of the box should have like step 1, you're going to do this. Step 2, you're going to do this. Step 3, you're going to do this. Like, all right, I get maybe a little blurb about why the hell we're fishing in an ocean. Like, I get it.
Yeah,
man,
that's a good point.
Tabletopia, and you use Tabletop Simulator to create how to play, like a quick, like just this is what the game experience, like this. Obviously, the majority of the people understand, like it's not final art, right? Things are still going to go through the development process, but you give me a feel for what like that is, rather than me just looking at this monochromatic cell sheet. Like, even that, to use it in that as a benefit is tremendous, right? Rather than a print and play.
Right. I think it all comes down to some people have the patience to look at big steps forward, like, oh, I'll look at your big sell sheet with all your text and stuff, then I'll move on to the next big part and stuff. And some people need shorter steps, which is show me a thumbnail.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll go to the next step, which is now tell me how many players, blah blah blah. Now
Mhm.
show, and I'm more like that. I have less patience, you know. Just like as a Kickstarter person, I'll be like, all right, I like the art. Now show me the how to play it. All right, now I like the how to play it. Now show me the video. You know, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
that's where you check out, right? When they don't have a video. Right? They don't have a video. I'm out.
I don't care if they have a video. I check out if they don't have the step
Mhm.
graphics of how to play. And I don't want a paragraph of teaching me how to play. I just want to, in this game, you're doing deck building and you're putting down your worker and you're collecting resources and paying this. Great. Now I know what I'm getting into.
Right.
And then I'll continue, or I'll be like, I hate deck building. Move on. But I think some people don't do stuff like that. Man, I'm all over a topic here, but I think some people don't do that stuff like that for the same reason that some people are worried about doing virtual games before actually getting the money,
Right.
which is, you know, how much do you tell people about your game to get them to buy it versus get them to go, oh, that's not for me, right?
Mhm.
I think if you're making a game that you are confident in enough, and you should be making a game that you're confident in enough, would get you enough sales that you should provide as much information as possible.
Sure. Sure.
I don't want to have someone buy my game that isn't going to like it. I'm not interested in tricking someone into buying it. And not providing enough information to me is kind of doing that.
Right. Right. Do you think? Do you think there's a price point for digital versions of games that make sense? Like one of my gripes with video games is you're going to sell me the digital copy for $60 when I can go to GameStop or Target or wherever and buy the physical copy for $60. That doesn't make sense for me, right? So if any of these games, right, if Trobles was $50 retail, what do you put it up for on Tabletop Sim or Tabletopia? If you're looking to sell it, I guess.
Um, right. It should be less because, well, that's different. What you're talking about with video games, physical versus not, right? Because the cost of making a video game is not in the production of that little disc. That's negligible. That's less than 1% of their costs. Their costs are programmers, time, you know, publisher, all that stuff. That's the huge amount of stuff, and that's what you're paying for.
Sure, same
So
thing with board games though, right?
it is the same thing for board games. No, I mean it's not the same thing for board games. For board games, you're paying for components, for printing, for shipping. In fact,
Mm.
generally, I've noticed that all the time and energy that goes into making a board game is not really considered as far
Mhm.
as that goes. And most of the time, MSRPs are decided by production and shipping cost times five. But nobody goes, oh, wait, I paid a graphic artist like, you know, 6 months worth of work to work on this or something. How
Mhm.
much was that and all that stuff? And then I've never seen that put into the MSRP, whereas it is for video games.
Mm. Okay.
So video games to me make sense that you, and maybe they should for board games, but then you couldn't afford to buy board games. Um, but video games for me make sense that they're pretty much the same thing because it's the same product. You're experiencing the exact same thing. Whether you have a disc that goes into there or you have a button to push, you then play the exact same thing.
Yeah, you do.
Virtually, you don't. Virtual board games, you don't.
No, you don't. But yeah, I guess that could be a topic for another day, maybe.
It just was a topic.
Yeah, but I could go on. Like I could keep pushing the button, right? And
Telling me it's too late. It is pretty late. It's already 10:45. We already lost Katia because it's past her bedtime.
yeah,
And probably persuaded a lot of people to not even start because we're now 2 hours and almost 3 hours here. Which is the reason why we Should probably have shorter episodes, but can never seem to do it.
No, I don't think we can. Well, we should do more of the full reviews, the full 42 reviews, and maybe live plays or something that kind of break it up. But I think these Mondays, I don't know if we get the same. Like, how long did we talk about the games that the tops of the different themes and the guesses for each other? Like, that's all fun, but that eats into 45 minutes, an hour of a show, and then what? We're going to talk about games we played for a half an hour. Like, I think these are they're long and they're fun.
Yeah, I've been enjoying them.
Yeah.
And speaking of enjoying, if you did enjoy, hit like and subscribe. Look at that. That was nice and smooth.
Totally. Yep. Smooth transition.
Didn't cheapen it at all by me talking about how nice and smooth.
No, not at all.
But yeah, let's go ahead and end the episode. What did we learn today? What did we learn from this episode, Mike?
You were drinking hot chocolate earlier, and now you're drinking water? I have no idea.
That was coffee.
Sure.
Although I am not opposed to hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate's great. What did we learn today? We learned I would want to be Nightcrawler over the other 9 that you gave.
Which surprised me, but I just thought the blue and toes and tail and all that would dissuade you. Not to mention the limiting teleporting part of it.
Right. Yeah, I guess. You kind of break it at that point.
Yeah.
I learned Peter thinks I'm in New Jersey.
Well,
you're all coming to Syracuse, New York in November.
I don't know if we learned that yet.
Yeah, that's happening. You're just going to get pressured into it, man. It's just going to...
We'll see.
What else? Digital rolling moves and rolls.
I do want to come. Well, I just got to see if it can happen.
Sure. I get it.
Yeah. It was a pretty good episode. Learned a lot.
I think so.
Talked a lot.
Always.
The important thing. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else to add after 3 hours, thank you for watching.
Do you want me to add stuff?
No. Oh, what we should add is what we're doing next week.
Yeah, we could do that.
We actually know what we're up to next week.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Planning ahead.
Yeah. So next week we have Corey, who is in chat or was in chat just a few minutes ago, talking about his apartments.
Yeah.
We have Corey and we have Donnie showing up. Two of our favorite viewers.
Yep. The dynamic duo behind Concept Medley, the game design company, I would say. We have a couple things to talk about next week. But yeah, they'll be on the show. And
maybe we could talk about, like, we focused on theme this time. Maybe we could focus on mechanisms next time.
Sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And, had a real quick question. Don't mean to digress before the end, but was curious. Where are you in Clone Wars?
7. Oh man, what you start at 7-4, or at least that the chart that you were talking to me about. You start at 7-4 or 7-5. You play through. You watch through. I mean, all right. So if you're not into Clone Wars or you're not into season 7, I'm going to say something. So,
but go ahead and go away because we're going to end after this.
Yeah, it's going to be like
spoilers coming. Yeah.
So yeah, Ahsoka did that job with the 2 sisters.
Yeah.
Who I really thought they were going to drop was like Han Solo's mother, which I thought would have been cool.
I'm kind of glad they didn't, though. I just like the characters being their own thing.
Yeah, and I like it too, but I thought that would have been a nice little, like, oh man, like Han's mother did the Kessel Run. Like that would have been.
Han at that time, let me think. Han at that time would be, I want to say he'd be about 10, 12 years old.
So yeah, there's no kid there, but that would have been
like 35 in New Hope. Maybe 33, 32, something like that.
Yeah, maybe he's a little older than, well, he's a lot older than Luke at that point.
Old enough to call Luke kid.
Right.
So 35. It's about he's about maybe teenager at this point, early teens, preteens.
They did that whole thing, and that storyline or those episodes are done, and now Bo-Katan is now, hey Ahsoka, I need you to come with me, and that's my next episode. Is what the hell is going on after that?
Nice.
Yeah. I will say, we could talk about this on the Discord, but I will say the episodes with Yoda at the end of 6 are some of the best I've ever. The trials,
yes.
Like I was talking about this earlier, like I want to make a game about part of that, but there have been some episodes that just tanked for me, and there have been some where I forget that I'm watching an animated series.
Yeah.
But those Yoda trials ones were.
Oh, I know that
that
whole Yoda part took such a strong role in how I ran Jedi in my RPG, and how the Force works. I dictate, like, sometimes they're like, shouldn't I be able to do this and this with the Force? I'm like, no. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, I know, because some of them haven't seen that. Yeah, so it's amazing, and it's so weird because the first season is okay.
Yeah.
The second season, pretty good and stuff. But then, man, it just starts ramping up to be just amazing stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I can't wait for you. So I'm curious, have you decided yet? Are you going to do Bad Batch after this, or are you going to do Rebels after this, then Bad Batch?
I think it makes more sense to do Rebels because I could burn through Rebels, and Bad Batch is only one a week.
Yeah.
For however long they're doing. I don't even know how long the season's going to be, but theoretically, I could run through Rebels, watch the 3 or 4 episodes of Bad Batch that are out now, and catch up.
Cannot wait for you to get to, there's several things in Rebels. I can't wait to hear what you say about it and stuff like that.
I don't know if I'm going to like it as much. Looking at, like, I know some of the characters, and I know there's some storyline in what's going on. Like, I understand that part of it, but I think my draw to the Clone Wars is, like I said, sometimes I don't realize, like, I'm watching an animated show. Some of the battle scenes, even some of the, like, the fight scenes, or, like, you're looking at Anakin with this background, it really, it brings me out of, when I realize I'm watching an animated, it brings me out. And Rebels seems more cartoonish.
I'll entice you with the idea of, if you were to like try to name the top 5 moments of Star Wars, like, put Luke in the hallway at Mandalorian as one of those, right? So stuff like that. If you were to do that, at least one of those is in Rebels.
Okay.
It must be experienced by a Star Wars fan.
I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it.
Oh, no. I know. I'm just trying to get you, like, okay, get excited.
I'm sure.
You got to get into it and stuff like that.
It's not going to grab me. I think it seems too cartoony, which isn't, and I know nothing else about it. The story could be great. The writing could be great. And I'm sure it is because of the people involved.
I think the first season will feel a little cartoony.
Sure, because it's going to be completely different than even season 7. The animation in season 7 ramped up. Like, it's way more cinematic. Everything looks more realistic. And I know from looking at even some of the thumbnails from Rebels, I'm like,
Rebels will amp up as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. The colors are brighter, right? It's not like this downtrodden universe where the rebels and they're just getting housed. Choppers fight.
Yeah, you'll like it in the end. I know for sure. I just hope you'll enjoy it along the way.
I'm sure I'm with Lance, right? If it's Star Wars, and you as well. If it's Star Wars, give it to me.
Yeah.
Even Resistance. Where does Resistance fit in this?
Oh, Resistance is actually really good, especially once you get to the second season. I think there's only 2. But Resistance is during the it's like right before episode 7.
Yeah, so after.
Yeah. You can watch that separately or not even attached or anything like that. But it's actually really good. I I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It felt like I needed to push through a little bit on the first few episodes because it's weird that Star Wars does this, but it felt kind of aimed at kids.
Yeah.
And then suddenly like, oh, stuff is happening. Oh, whoa. Like this is now story is being built and like real consequences and character building and but it takes a little bit to get to it and Resistance.
Oh, I lied to you. I watched the Bad Batch of beginning of season 7 because it starts with, it tells you to watch episode 4 or 5, whatever one that is, and that's Ahsoka's story, and the Bo-Katan comes. But then we meet the Bad Batch, and they go through that whole.
Yeah, I don't know why that chronological order. I would have told you just go in normal order at that point.
You said you could do it either way, but I figured I've been following that list that you gave
That's
from
fine.
the beginning, and it's been great. So I figured I'd just keep doing it. Yeah. But I forgot. I met the Bad Batch, and they went and got Echo.
That was pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was predictable, but
yeah. Well, the Bad Batch starts pretty much right after that, the show.
The new series.
The new series, yeah.
Leaves off. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
cool.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and end it. We'll run over to Discord if anybody else wants to add to that. But just wanted to make sure we got over 3 hours, I guess, because now it's 3 hours and 1 minute.
I was going to tell you about my horrible experience with that Llama Land game that was nominated as a nod for.
Ooh, okay. Tell me that in Discord.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you. We'll talk about it another day.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. If you even made it this long, I think most of our people abandoned us. So we'll see you guys later. Let's see.
And again, he leaves without closing down the thing. Let's give it a second. He'll come back in. See how long it takes for him to get in here.